Good evening, everybody. Tonight, we're going to do some Stellaris. And I don't have it up right now simply because, one, I always need to sort of clear out all of the hosts and such. But I personally, as a player, really like the launcher for Paradox games. But my experience usually is that the wrong thing winds up being captured. So I always need a minute to get myself set up. We will do that now. And you guys get to enjoy the lovely music while I set that up. Here we go. I think this is a really wonderful way to open a game. So, I mean, obviously they need to, you gotta have loading screens and things like that. But there's a couple things about Stellaris that really gets my attention. To begin with, I need to give a very special thank you to Paradox. I'm never sure if whoever I'm talking with is Paradox Interactive or Paradox Dev Studio. Obviously, it's part of the same larger company, but they did fashion me with a key for the Leviathans DLC, which was just recently released. It may also be of interest for you because I know a few of you do sort of use me for recommendations and things like that. The game is currently on sale. It's about, I think it's about a quarter off. You can get it. You can get it basically at the Paradox, sort of their web store, or if you'd like, you can also get it through Steam. I believe it's on sale for both. It may also be on sale at the Humble store if you're so inclined. Now, I should maybe just specify, I was also given the base game, and actually, Stellaris has a very special milestone here, simply because I was given a copy just the day before it was released. I was quite interested in it, and again, Paradox gave me a copy. So, of course, with that, consider that as you will. I think most people have watched me and have heard my opinions on things enough to know that I am not so easily bought, but I will give credit where credit is due, and condemnation where it's due. But with that in mind, so this is a bit of a special game for the stream because I was given access sort of ahead of time, and I was it was the first and only time that this stream has actually achieved 3 figures, like 100 viewers, off the basis of, just streaming. Now, obviously, this is because people want to see what the game is like, and a lot of people complain that there wasn't enough gameplay, but there you have it. I kind of have to do my own thing. So, if you just want the base game, for me, a Canadian, it's $32.99 right now, normally $43.99. There is a Nova and Galaxy edition. Those are basically going to give you some extra things, like new alien races, the original soundtrack. The soundtrack is absolutely outstanding, as you can already hear, and I'm going to talk about that a little bit, but we will start up a game. And then the Leviathans, they call it the story pack, so I don't actually like doing a lot of research ahead of time for a stream or that. So like Paradox actually posts dev diaries and things like that, and I'd be very interested in sort of knowing about how the developer thinks about the game. But the big thing is when I first go and I first play a game, you only get that opportunity once. I would rather sort of engage with the product as it's presented, rather than sort of be told by somebody in chat or by the developer about how I'm supposed to play it. But the broader idea of calling this a story pack is that it adds, how do I put this? So it does add new sort of little mechanics and creatures inside of it. But the big thing is that there's events that occur during the game. And the one thing that I've really appreciated about Stellaris since I first played it was sort of the emphasis on kind of exploration and building this this story about your species in the future. So, hey, Jesse Quill. Sorry guys, I couldn't see chat for some reason, so I've been ignoring all of you. So thank you very much for that, host Alex the Rambler and Jesse Quill, two of my most loyal hosts and followers. I really appreciate that. And we'll jump into the game very quickly, but I did want to take a minute and just sort of talk. It's fun to come back to this game. One, because of the viewing milestone that I hit. I may never hit that again, but it was really interesting at the time, and I think by and large most people were really good about it. And on top of that, I've really been looking forward for the opportunity to try this game again. So one of the things I'm going to spend a lot of time talking about is actually less of the strategy and a little bit more in terms of where I think Stellaris fits in the overall sort of pantheon of Paradox games. And unlike the last time we played this, I'm actually going to be creating my own species. I feel confident enough with the game. I actually don't feel that confident in the game's mechanics, oddly enough. But I do feel confident enough that I can build my own race. I think I'll actually delete one of my old ones. Yeah, so let's do this from scratch. And before I do that too, I'll maybe take a second and I will give a shout out to Jesse Quill. I'm maybe try and do it in 2 parts because I don't want to spend too much time at the start. Although we're still a little bit before. I usually try to get like 10 minutes for people to come in. I will say that Jesse Quill is the only mod who knows how the commands work here, and there's a very good reason for that. Jess is an outstanding caster and an outstanding human being. She moderates more channels and high-profile channels than I think I could ever keep count of, to be honest. She puts an unbelievable amount of dedication towards other people's streams, including my own. I mean, I really gave her the sword as more of a token more than anything. Hello, Spoon. How you doing? On top of, she very quickly just leapt straight into the duties, except whenever I shout her out. She will sometimes be shy and not hit that shout out button for herself. How often do I play Stellaris? Spoon, this is actually the second time that I've played it on cast. Privately, I play it on and off, but I haven't actually completed a full game. The irony about this was, I'm very glad to hear that. I usually take a little while to get started, just because I got a couple of very nice hosts from bigger casters than me, so I always like to give a second to shout them out. But yeah, I don't know if you heard what I said originally, but the irony about this game is that it was... Oh, thank you so much for that follow. I was given a copy ahead of the release, and so it's the first time I've ever had 100 people inside of my chat purely from like turning on the stream, like not getting a big host or anything like that. A lot of people got kind of annoyed that I was pausing the game a whole lot. That's just my style of play. But despite the fact that it's, in terms of numbers, the single most successful game I've ever played, I just get caught up in a bunch of other things. Obviously, as I said, I was given a copy of Leviathans from the lovely people at Paradox, but I was also given a copy of Hearts of Iron 4, which was what we completed. But I'll probably be playing this for the next few Mondays until either the game wraps up or I suffer an ignoble defeat. But anyways, I did want to wrap up on Jesse Quill, especially with the... I have a feeling that actually the game's overwhelming me a little bit. But it's appropriate music for this wonderful caster. I do... Hey, the beard that is evil. Thank you very much for... It is a single-player game. I'm antisocial that way. I think that might be a little bit better for everybody's levels. I don't believe that's true, actually. I don't think I need to redo it. Anyways, Jessie Quill is an absolutely outstanding caster. She's a very dear friend of mine, somebody who I've gotten to know better through streaming, but I've also had the pleasure of meeting her in person. If you guys like, I've obviously a couple of you have just come in here, so you'll have to decide if you like the style or not. But just like, you know, when I'm doing Hearts of Iron or when I'm doing Crusader Kings, I'll talk about political economy, some things that I've both studied and work with. Jess will also talk about things that are of interest to her, either academically or socially, or that definitely much more in tune with the humanities and the social sciences than I think I necessarily would be. But an absolutely gorgeous woman, very good head on her shoulders, really great and active chat. And she's much better at sort of balancing between the game and the topics that I talk about. So I'm doing very well, The Beard That Is Evil. How are you doing tonight? All right, so unlike last time where I was learning the game, I'm still learning the game a little bit actually, but we'll start by making an umpire here. And of course, the most important thing, we need to decide what we want him to look like. I've never really gone through all of these options yet. So one of the things that actually I might go with that. One of the things that I've come to appreciate about Stellaris is how Crusader Kings 2, you'll focus very much on your individual ruler, and you'll kind of talk about this family, and you know, I think most people have had the most fun during that House of Rose playthrough we did, where we sort of created this little lore and this little backstory. Spoon, I'm bad with voting, but you're welcome to just shout out things that you'd be interested in seeing. You went on a date and forgot that it was Halloween? Did they show up dressed as a monster? Maybe that isn't how that's not a costume. I hope the date went well for you. But yeah, so when it comes to it, I will take recommendations, but I mean, it's all kind of new to me, so I'm sort of at this point where I'm having the fun of discovering things on my own. This actually looks kind of interesting. But yeah, I think one of the things that's attracted me so much, oh, these are cute. One of the things that attracted me quite a bit about Stellaris is how it's really geared towards making you think of this as, you know, a very big, a very epic sort of story about a species. This will become really apparent when you see the opening reading, like the opening little screen when you first jump into the game. And I wasn't quite thinking about it in those terms when I started off, but it's actually really satisfying if you invest a little bit and you use your imagination. I don't think this was in the original game. One thing to mention too, if you are of a particular inclination towards, oh god, I gotta go with this. I'm still gonna take a look around. I actually really like some of the avians as well. Spoon, I think I've been focusing very heavily on a very strong industry and sort of a more materialistic group. This is probably a reflection of my personality, but again, I don't know the game well enough that I can say, like, I know the different kind of play styles to say it's like, you know, I prefer this form of play. I believe this is the one that you get as part of like the deluxe edition. Again, I'm not a sophisticated enough player to be able to say, God, I love all of these races. You know what, I think I'm gonna go back with the, what was the frog man? We can do this one. Okay, how cute do we want to go? Let's go with this. But yeah, it's, it's kind of funny. It's kind of funny, The Beard That Is Evil. CK2 was the first one that I played, and I really got into. I'm not going to write a biography. I'm not quite that invested in it. I do recommend, by the way, though, if you have a creative writing bent, it's actually a little fun to personalize this sort of stuff. But yeah, like I enjoyed this game a lot more once I stopped like thinking of it as a big set of mechanics like I tend to do with science fiction games, and I started actually you know, playing it a little bit like Crusader Kings 2, where I would sort of motivate my behaviors, not necessarily around optimal play, but around what sort of felt right for this little the space opera I wanted to do. Yeah, I know that gecko is something else. It was really hard to go back to the frog, but yeah, I was saying, for those of you who do modding, pretty much everything you see here is mod-worthy. Oh yes, maybe one thing worth mentioning, I did get a copy of Leviathans, but I don't have a copy of the Plantoids DLC. So far as I can tell, that is a purely cosmetic DLC, so we're not going to be missing out on anything gameplay-wise. But I've got so many cute options here. Let's go for Reptilian 2 for the names. Hey, how you doing, Sam Samson 1981? Wow, I didn't appreciate that Stellaris... And Cillian Farrell 56. I didn't appreciate that Stellaris brought out so many new viewers. It's really great. I'll just let you guys know I am pretty unstudied in this game, so it's going to be a lot of learning going through it. But I hope you guys find that fun. And I forgot to say out what you were saying a little bit before, Spoon. I think Spiritualist is pretty OP, even more so now that they significantly increased ethics diversion. Yeah, so like here's a great example. I have no idea what ethics divergence does. I'll figure it out, but it's that's one of the things that I also love about the Paradox games is the process of discovering them on stream. I've never been very good at people just telling me how mechanics work. Like if I wanted to do that, I'd just go to the wiki. But it's fun to see. It's like a rodeo to see how long I can stay on the game and have you know, and learn from it. At some point, you know, I go to the wiki because it's made by Paradox, right? But it's kind of fun to see how far I can get on my own. Sure, Spoon, why not? I won't use the phone a friend option always, but if it's a really simple mechanic, you can let me know. I'm probably not gonna go spiritualist anyway. And Mephisto, hello as well. There's a lot of numbers here. So were there really 55 other Cillian Farrells, 497 other Spoons, and Mephisto, the most popular, at 688. You are all the most important of your respective names to me, though. All right. I remember the last time I played, I felt that I was really short on minerals all the time, so I might go for Industrious. And I kind of like this idea of like a very materialist, very mercantile kind of species. Yeah, let's go for Industrious. And the big question now is, do I want to give myself some weaknesses? Oh, here's a neat idea, actually. Okay, so let's say that we are non-adaptive. And we are... where is it? In a nutshell, how your species ethos starts out is how your empire is. If ethics diversions is in the red, over time that population will change ethos. Okay, I'm not 100%... Hey, Johnny Big Time! Sorry, I didn't see you host me there. I don't think my alerts are working right now. Thank you very much for that. Are you in chat? Hello, there you are. All right, I'm going to explain what I'm going to do with these. I've got an idea for a species I think is kind of fun. So let's say that these things are non-adaptive, and then I'm going to give it another negative one. Which is... fleeting, so leader lifespan is a negative. But what they are is they are rapid breeders. So I love this idea of a species that doesn't so much adapt to its surroundings as one generation dies out and the next generation just sort of like, you know, works itself into the planet. I've been well. Yourself? Oh, not a problem at all. All right, so now I got to figure out what I want to do with the two. So I could do agrarian, So again, if I'm talking about these very industrious creatures, I could say agrarian or thrifty, so I can gain extra energy credits or extra food. Food's pretty good if I want to expand out my population pretty quickly. Intelligence also good. I mean, science really is kind of the backbone, although it's a little bit harder to work into the story that I have for this race. So I think we'll double down. Let's just say we're agrarian. So yeah, again, these are not necessarily, I'm not necessarily saying it's like this is going to be the species that's going to make me kick ass at this game, but I like this idea of just kind of these amphibian creatures which sort of know they're not long for this world, and instead basically they just kind of go out, they colonize a planet knowing that it's effectively going to be their grave, and the way that they wind up adapting is actually just simply to, let the next generation actually take it up. All right. Do I want a lady or a... you know what? A woman president. Sounds pretty good, huh? Let's do a blue frog. And actually kind of like... This is tempting. So is that. Yeah. I'm sorry, Johnny, I haven't given you your proper shout out yet. Hello, Sam Samson. Yes, I can definitely see what you're writing. Are they from an ocean world or a tropical world? Or maybe they're ice frogs. Sorry, that was an unintentional pun. Yeah, we'll go for ocean preference. And I like Rothak. Rothak is the homeworld name. All right, guys. Before I go to government and ethics, I am going to take a quick second here and shout out Johnny Big Time. He gave me a very nice host with quite a few people, actually. So for those of you who are still around from Johnny Big Time's channel, welcome. But for all of you who are new here, I'm System Chalk. I am still a variety caster. However, what I've done is I've started to sort of reinstate a grand strategy day, and so Monday is now. We actually just finished a playthrough as Nationalist Spain in Hearts of Iron 4. We lost pretty much in the same way that... no problem at all, Mephisto. We do, just so you know, what's changed. Cillian Farrell, thank you very much for that follow. I am also streaming at 60 frames a second and with the higher bitrate than what I normally do. So if you'd like, there are quality options on this channel now, and I definitely encourage people to use them because I know it's definitely a lot more bandwidth intensive than it used to be. But anyways, Johnny Big Time, again, I need to insist, is an absolutely outstanding streamer. He's a lot of fun to have inside of the channel here as well. He's been doing a great little horror series in that, and he's going to be one of the reasons why I'm back to... Oh, Killian, sorry. A very large number of people, but not everyone, Johnny Big Time. He's actually going to be the reason why we come back to Dark Souls 2, and it's going to be on Twitch now that I have 60 frames a second and high quality. But oh, sorry to hear that, Mephisto. So he's very good at the games that he plays. I think this is one thing that maybe he doesn't get enough credit for, but he's also really fun to watch, both in terms of a sense of humor. He is one of the people who I think I got almost like a standing ovation for a shout out I gave once because of his sense of humor. But I also think he's really, I think he's a good person and actually just a lot of fun to be around. He's really, between him and Jesse Quell, I think the two of them are sort of the essence of this, you watch the stream for the caster and it doesn't matter what game they're playing, so. All right, so let me explain a little bit about why I made these decisions. Again, I'm going purely sort of character base here. And by the way, listen to this soundtrack. This is... Paradox games all have very good soundtracks, but they really outdid themselves on this one. I think this one absolutely captures the spirit. Mr. Pooped Your Pants. All right, so we've got individualist. Community is a... Oh yeah, actually, let me decide what I get here. So we've got policy, happiness, impact, migration, attraction, energy credits. Yeah. This is the right one. So the chief driver of this species, although it hurts, we must grow up and put aside our outdated notions of morality. There is no divine spark granting special value to a living mind. No object has any intrinsic value apart from what we choose to grant it. Let us embrace the freedom of certitude and achieve maximum efficiency in all things. And then individualist. Community is a means to an end, not an end in itself. Only by empowering the individual to reach their maximum potential do we achieve true freedom. So again, just to sort of reinforce what I'm going to be doing on this one, we said that these are short-lived creatures and very industrious creatures. What this is basically I'd like to think is translated into is basically sort of this atheistic and very extreme Protestant work ethic that they're going to make the most of the time that they're there and sort of push forward in that. And that translates into this really weird little division here, which is they value the individual, but not as any particular, not necessarily as, every life is sacred or something like that, but rather, this is your allotment of time. You need to do the best of it. And so the individualism isn't necessarily any kind of, sacred duty to the self or something like that, but rather just, you got to punch in your clock. And as a result, we will choose the government of plutocratic oligarchy. This, I think, is a really neat touch that they added to Stellaris. So you have a bunch of these different kinds of governments, but you'll notice that there's only a few that are available to me, and that's because of the different ethics that I've chosen. And so, in this case here, this government is a plutocratic form of oligarchy ruled by a wealthy elite. A citizen's personal wealth translates directly into political power. Alternatively, you can do indirect democracy. This is government as an indirect democracy where citizens vote on officials who are elected to represent them. That's pretty familiar for us. Direct democracy, which is, I know, something that a few political parties are trying to implement. This is the sort of thing that scared the hell out of Plato. Computer networks to vote directly. Well, obviously not computer networks for Plato, but this is basically you vote on everything. And then the last thing we could do would be a science directorate. The government is a materialistic form of oligarchy where a committee of scientists supervises the government apparatus for maximum efficiency. It's almost, I'm curious, I think this is about the closest thing that you can get to sort of an ideal communist state, which is, you've got sort of this central planner figuring everything out for you. All right, what are we going to call our empire? Apparently I can't randomize the name? That doesn't seem right. Oh yeah, the beard that is... Like, I don't mean to, like, make this as a, I don't mean to make that... Like, these guys aren't going to be, like, wearing fedoras and, like, shouting at Jehovah's Witnesses on the corner or something like that. Though, as you're right, very clearly there's... Philosophically, a lot of materialists have also been very heavily atheist-driven. It's just, the Protestant work ethic sort of comes with its own baggage, so I just wanted to have this idea here. They're very much concerned about the efficiency of the time rather than having any particular, every tadpole is sacred kind of idea. All right, I want to call these the Krogans, but I have a feeling that might cause some problems. So, what do we name our homeworld? Rothak. That's all good, Spoon. Hey, Kite, how you doing tonight? Guys, Kite's another really wonderful streamer. Hopefully Jess will start... actually here, let me get these out of the way. Oh, corporate assemblies are really nice. Guys, Kite's another really wonderful caster. I always like to point him out as being somebody who does co-op a lot better than me. As somebody was asking a little bit before, if this is multiplayer. I am just very bad at, well, oh, I actually really like fractal patterns, but... long work shift. I'm well, Kite. I'm streaming a little bit later than I planned. Oh, this looks very beautiful. I think I'm gonna go for that. Not quite what I was thinking of. I think this is enough, actually. Let's just stay with that. Oh, I didn't know it was... Oh, the star. Gotcha. Your creative writer. Oh, excellent. The Beard That Is Evil. If you have a link for any of your short stories or anything else that you wind up doing, definitely feel free to drop your link inside of chat if you'd like us to check out your stuff. Okay, that makes sense, Spoon. All right, now this is actually... So a lot of this stuff was clearly flavor. This reminds me a little bit of Endless Space, and so I understand this idea a little bit more. But basically, you've got almost this rock, paper, scissors kind of game in terms of how... come on, Cillian Farrell. We were talking about how it's fun to watch streamers learn stuff. I'm not going to take orders from chat. But basically, there's 3 different kinds of weapons in this game. It more or less makes sense. It's like it says on the tin here, right? So mass drivers that use electromagnetic catapults to accelerate projectiles towards targets at blinding speeds, while somewhat limited in their range, kinetic energy, and high rate of fire chew through shields with ease. Energy weapons. These directed energy weapons emit focused laser beams at their targets. They are effective at medium and close range, largely ignoring the bulk of enemy armor. But notice, of course, it's silent on shields. And then finally, missile weapons. Space-to-space missiles armed with nuclear warheads. Missiles have an excellent range, but they are vulnerable to interception by point defense systems. So the idea here is that you can choose both the distance at which you engage in, but you also want to keep in mind in terms of what your opponent might do. So if I know that my opponent has energy weapons, I actually want to... Oh, I had... Did I? Oh god, thank you. EMBLY. Yep, there we go. So if I know that my opponent has energy weapons, I'm going to be wanting to invest in shields. If I know that they've got projectile weapons, I'm going to want to put some effort towards my my armor. All right. We've got... The warp drives generate a substate base bubble around the ship. I remember I did... The hyperspace one was interesting. I actually thought this one was a little bit better for new players because it reminds me of Endless Space again. But I remember if you wind up being unlucky and somebody's like territory goes over one of those lanes, you're kind of screwed. I think I might just go with warp travel. I haven't done wormhole, and I don't quite remember how it works. It also says advanced players, so I think in this case, I don't have a story reason for doing it. I'm just going to go for something that's easy. And I'm not actually required to match it. I kind of like the look of the fungoid, to be honest, so we're going to stick with that. All right. we have the Rothakian Corporate Assembly, spelled correctly this time. I hope you're proud of this, chat. All right. Go big or go home, I say. I'm not going to play with too many of these settings, but the only way to play a Paradox game is Iron Man mode. There's no point so the big thing about playing a game like this, any game like this, even Civilization or anything like that, failing is fun. How you deal with a situation that's not 100% going your way is a lot more interesting than going back and saving and playing a 100% perfect game. So now for XCOM, where you have a lot of invested in the game, I'll give you that. Maybe you don't want to do Iron Man on XCOM if you get easily frustrated. But a game like this, it's so much. Look how much fun I had making this race. Don't you want to go and do something like that again? All right, so Lotharkian Corporate Assembly, a plutocratic oligarchy. The ruler, I thought? Interesting. I thought we assigned a name, but apparently not. It's the Sek Lokar is our species name. FTL method is warp travel. Capital is Rothak. We're individualist, fanatic materialists. We're industrious, non-adaptive, fleeting, rapid breeders, agrarian, and we prefer ocean planets. And this is the thing I was talking about before. In the aeons since the first primitive Sek Lokar communities took shape in the archipelagos and the lagoons of Rothak, our civilization has spread and prospered. As scientific knowledge increased and new outposts were founded across our world, trade flourished and tied various nation-states together until they became a single entity. Power rested with the merchant princes and the true architects of our civilization. Now, after the successful creation of several experimental subspace fields, the finest minds of the Rothakian Corporate Assembly have finished development of the first warp drives. The stars themselves are finally within our grasp. And we begin. So first of all, this is an absolutely gorgeous game, if that wasn't already apparent from everything we were doing before. And you can get in nice and close, you can sort of set up these wonderful shots. Oh god, we've got a... Can we get a little bit of the sun there? Yeah. Iron Man mode would be basically it's one continuous save. You're not allowed to like save something and then go back. You're kind of committed to every decision that you make. But yeah, so I wanted to talk a little bit about the music. I was showing the Stargate sequence to Jesse Quill the other night, and the choice of music, I mean, so obviously there's a synthetic element to this music as well, but there's a lot in this soundtrack which has either this orchestral or just this very majestic element towards it. And I really think, like, of all of the space games that you have available, I think this is one of the ones that really starts to capture some of those moments from something like 2001: A Space Odyssey or all the other very famous sort of space stories. I really think, so there's two big drivers in this game for me. One is the story that you get to tell of your species, and then the second one is this process of exploration and discovery, right? You, again, start off, you and all of your play. The only thing that's a little weird is that you, and apparently if you play like multiplayer, multiple players all begin on this, you know, at the same point where you're just discovering Starflight, basically. Where presumably this would be staggered by a little bit. But I mean, that's a small gripe. And again, mechanically it makes sense. So you have sort of your immediate sphere of influence, and what this game is largely going to be about is sort of expanding and exploring. I've got virtually limitless options as far as directions to go. I made a nice big universe so that I've got plenty to do. I mean, like I said, I'm going to be playing this every Monday for the foreseeable future, so I thought I'd get my money's worth. And again, Paradox did give me the Leviathans expansion, so I want to do it right. I'm not entirely sure I'm going to get to any of the new content tonight, but we'll do our best, right? So normally there's a tutorial that pops up. I don't know if I disabled it the last time they got rid of it or not, but anyways. First thing I like to do is just set myself up in terms of research. let's see what we've got. So we can do physics labs, we can increase our survey speed. I think overall, though, the ability to get more energy. Well, okay. This one is kind of tempting because he is faster at Voidcraft. But I feel like this is a little bit better towards starting myself up. Yeah, I think I'm going to go for global energy management. I think there's probably just a bunch of people just freaking out at the fact I made that decision. All right. I think here colony ship is the only one I'd really want to go for. It is very tempting for getting them extra monthly influence. And it's actually, so it looks like this, I didn't know that this was in the game. So this technology will lead to further advancements in capital buildings and influence gained. Upgraded planetary capitals are required for high-level buildings. So this is tempting because it seems to put me down a particular path. But again, colony ship is going to allow me to expand, and in the end, that is going to form sort of this industrial base for my species. And so I want to get that researched as quickly as I can. Finally, we've got our engineering technology. Now, powered exoskeletons is going to mean that my ground troops are better. Minerals is also a little bit tempting. Nuclear missiles. Now, this is not very tempting to take right now because we already made a commitment to. Sort of towards these beam weapons, and variety is not the spice of life in this case for me. You know, it's actually on sale right now, Malefisto. I don't know if you're looking for a deeper discount though. How many different species can you choose from? So Johnny Big Time, we made this. The number of species that you can create is limited basically by your imagination and a number of customization options, which actually I don't know. I haven't actually seen specifically how many, but you've got a lot. And you can actually set up the game so that these other species that you've created, you can actually build a library of them and they can potentially be played by the AI. So this is something we entirely made for the purpose of this game, and I just made a little story behind them. But yeah, this is entirely self-made. So this is actually one that I'm going to learn through process of elimination. I don't want nuclear missiles yet because there's no direct benefit. This is the first tier of this weapon. Defense platform is kind of tempting. It's part of the Halloween sale at the moment, Malefisto. Let me just take if you guys don't mind, I know I've taken a while to get started with the game, but so the Halloween sale, it says it's good for it says another 15 hours, so I guess we've basically got another day to go with that. I wonder if the Paradox store is going to say something different. Oh, looks like it isn't on sale on the Paradox platform. My mistake. I'm sorry. Hey, T. Clark. Good to see you again. Anyways, so I was saying, no point in doing nuclear missile. Deep Space Outpost is a little tempting, but it's a bit early for doing something like this. I'm not quite at the point of building up a defensive infrastructure. So even though I don't necessarily want to be a warmonger, this is something that will actually give me the bonus minerals, and it does unlock a particular path. Perhaps the robots will eventually replace these mortal creatures. Well, if you get paid within 15 hours, then you're in good shape. But yeah, I wouldn't worry too much about it, Malefisto. These things do tend to go on sale. I mean, we're going to be coming on to the holiday season pretty soon, so I have a feeling this game will be going on sale. I can also recommend, if you are looking, you can go to, I believe it's deals.razorzone. You could actually put Stellaris inside there, and it'll let you know when there's a sale across more or less any platform. I find that pretty helpful for myself. I mean, for me, I just moved across the country, so I'm not in a point where I'm actually paying for games. That was one of the reasons why I really wanted to give a special thank you to Paradox for hooking me up with Leviathans, because I was going to play this game no matter what. But I'm not at a point right now where I'm spending on games anymore. I really need to pay down debt, like we were talking about before, and it's actually really nice of them to hook me up and make sure I'd be able to kind of play this game as, you know, in its full form. So, all All right, so I talked about how this game is a lot about exploration and that. The first thing to do, of course, is we've got this technology, so we might as well explore our own backyard. And the nice thing here is you can automate it. I'm just going to click on the closest planet, and it's going to automate this path for me. There's not a whole lot that I really need to do about that. My next step might be to work with my construction ship, but there's nothing that I've discovered yet to... Sure, Manifesto. The difference here, of course, is that if it's on sale on like Humble Bundle or something like that, Steam's not going to tell you, whereas the deals.razorzone is going to tell you across multiple platforms. That's why I use that a little bit more. Like, so for instance, I like shopping on GOG a lot. So in my own case, I tend to wish list on the deals.razorzone just because it lets me know when multiple platforms are hosting sales. Kaylee Cakes, thank you so much for that host. How are you doing? And welcome to everybody who stopped by from there. Let me know when you're inside, and I've got another lovely shout out to do. Okay. Yeah, so I'm not going to do anything with the construction ship, but before I unpause, I'm actually going to look at my... There she is! Guys, Kaylee Cakes was just streaming some DayZ tonight. Now, I'm not a big DayZ... I'm not a player at all. And I'd say I probably only really watch it when Kaylee is playing it. Hey, yep, how are you doing tonight? It's been a long time no see. But she's a really wonderful streamer. She actually, you know, there's something that's worth saying about her. She had some very, very bad news that came up this week. And she, despite it, has been streaming regularly and has been, you know, unless you knew what had happened, you would never have thought something was wrong. She did... Zealosaur, thank you very much for that, that follow. You know, she is a new streamer, but she's extremely professional. She has really, you know, she's turned on, got a show to do, and just, you know, has not let it drag her down. And I have a lot of respect for that, because there have been plenty of times when I have not felt like God's gift to streaming, and maybe I've started later or I haven't done anything like that. So on top of the fact that, I mean, you guys have been extremely supportive so far, if you like seeing newer streamers as sort of establishing themselves, I highly recommend Kaylee Cakes. She's a major supporter of this stream. I always like to say, actually, she donated money before she followed, so I really don't know how more loyal you get than that. But on top of that, she's an absolute sweetheart, a lot of fun to watch. So I know I've been shouting out a lot, I've been throwing a lot of shout outs at you guys. And I know it takes a while. A lot of you are here just to see Stellaris, so we're now finally unpaused. But I do like taking the time to shout these people out specifically because they definitely deserve a lot more attention than, you know, it's a crowded space, right? You kind of need to get people to, you kind of need to have some effort to sort of get people engaged. But I do want to give you kind of the reasons why I like watching these individuals. There's a lot going on there. They're very, very talented people. And like I said, the rhetoric, this is something I said from a previous stream, but the rhetoric of Twitch is such that it's not enough to be good anymore. Everything has to be like the best ever. So I like, if I can, to give you some reasons in terms of the sorts of people who I like watching on Twitch, the reasons why I like watching them and why I think they're maybe worth your time. Because I know it really takes me a long time to get into stuff like gameplay, and it's fun because I really like interacting with you guys. But I know sometimes people like a little bit more gameplay, and so that's a big feature that I can say about a lot of these casters. They do a much better job of balancing sort of the imperatives of entertaining with gameplay as well as speaking with people. Anyways, you guys are actually being great with your attention. I've actually got a little bit more going on in chat than I'm used to, so I'm... complete. Hey, all right, we've got a new science trip. I'm going to take a second here and... I'm going to pause just so I can equip it with a scientist. Oh, I mean, the beauty that you guys want this time is for Stellaris. Look at that. Look at that. Look at the majesty of space. And we get to explore all of this. And you get to listen to this music. It's like living 2001: A Space Odyssey. Can't get any better than this. So just to give you guys, we've actually created... Alright, see you later, Spoon. So just to give you guys a little heads up, especially because there's a lot of people who are new to this particular game, what we've done is we've built a species. We've just kind of, we're taking our first steps into space. So the first thing that we want to do is explore our existing solar system. And then we sort of have this de facto area, or well, it's kind of de facto realm, even though we haven't actually gone out to explore any of it. These are the immediate places I want to explore to see whether or not there's anything worth claiming here. But right now I'm looking to build a bit of infrastructure for myself. So I've already sent one science ship off to explore the solar system, but I'd kind of like to speed this up. So I started building a second spaceship. The next thing that I'm doing is I'm using my construction ship wherever I can. I'm looking to build up some resource extraction. That includes doing so on my home planet. So what I did on the surface was I've started building a hydroponics farm. I'm actually going to do that on pretty much every tile that I have food growing on, because what this is going to do is it's going to make my population grow faster, which means that they're going to be able to start consuming these, or not consuming, but generating these resources a little bit faster. It is unfortunate that we wound up with these this ocean terrain here, which doesn't give us any default value, but that also gives us some options later on in terms, if we find that we're very heavy on energy and maybe low on minerals, we might be able to turn that around a little bit. So that's really cool, Manifesto. I mean, I certainly like, you know, I like the community building aspect, and I definitely like watching individual streamers for their personalities. But yeah, I know definitely a lot of people get very attached to streams and streamers. So I think it's very cool that happens, because I know, you know, gaming has not always been considered a very social activity. For me, I think it very much is. I think I'm actually going to switch this guy out. So if I were to get another resource... So here's a quick decision I'm making. These spaceships are going to be flying around doing research. So the one thing that I don't want to do is get somebody who's like good at, let's say, you know, researching computer technology or something like that. I don't want to assign one of them to a ship because their talents are going to be wasted. So I want to do something like Voidcraft or... I mean... Oh, hang on, this is the guy who I already have. So let's do a recruit. So we've got somebody who can research computing, somebody who lasts longer, or field... I feel like... Okay, so he's the youngest, and computing is actually also really useful. So I'm going to spend 50 of these influence points to recruit him. What I'm actually going to do here is I'm going to take my engineer, because right now he just has a higher experience gain. I'm actually going to assign him to the... I'm going to assign him to the ship, and then what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take the guy who's good at computer research, and I'm going to get him working on engineering. Now, it may be that later on, I'm going to use him, I'm going to put him up in physics or something like that, because maybe computing, you know, there's a computing thing that I want him to do there. But basically, I'm just trying to put people in the best roles that they can get. Yeah, I definitely know that feeling, Malefisto. As I mentioned, I moved across the country. Oh god, I actually have to use this. So again, we're talking about exploration. In this case, I'm just going to automate. It is kind of nice that you get to automate this rather than have to allocate every planet. But this is what we're going to spend the next little while doing. Is we're going to be finding as many resources as we can get, and we're going to be starting to come up with our plans for colonizing our first world. When the opportunity comes up, I'm going to start building resource extractors. So right now we're going to be getting more energy credits on Chilcat. Is it Chilcat? Chilcat? Whichever. And of course, if I want, I can just see the majesty of the space opera unfold. You can also speed the game up a little bit if you find stuff like this tedious, but it's I do kind of want to keep a little bit of an eye on what's going on. And if we want to see what's happening here with our new explorer, they're taking a look around inside this universe. If you want, you know, a particularly dramatic view, you can move in and see what they're looking at. I sometimes find the sun's a little intense as far as right now what we're going to be doing is we're going to be exploring these so that I can...
Construction complete.
Okay, so we finished our surface construction. I don't know if I want to use the minerals quite yet to build any more hydroponics plants, but I'm going to reserve that option. I'd much rather see if I have any resources inside here that I can get my construction ship. My construction ship's almost done building something. So if all of these planets here basically don't have anything special to do right now. But we also have quite a few planets that we haven't explored yet. So I'm preserving the option. It does cost resources. Oh, looks like we've already, this guy's already leveled up. And sort of, this is what I was anticipating. We would eventually find a mineral deposit. And so instead of running off and building something on the surface, I'm going to be a little bit closer to my to setting up this mineral mine. To me, I want to put the most attention into minerals, because in the end, the sooner I can build something, the sooner I start extracting those resources, and as a result, it sort of feeds into itself.
Anomaly found.
All right, anomalies. These are kind of fun. So in this case, these can be almost anything. In this case, there are signs that activity by an ancient precursor civilization. There are signs of activity by an ancient precursor civilization on this inhospitable rock. There's a failure risk. Now, this could mean anything from just it fails to, you know, you lose your scientist or something like that. In this case here, it's an anomaly level 1. It's a skill 1. It's, I mean, 30%. If I could lose a spaceship off of this, it's not exactly the odds that I would want to put into a spaceship, but, you know, I'm going to go for it because we sort of want to see how the story turns out. Spore space is that you can control more than one fleet. This is the thing. Okay, again, I've never played Spores, so... Attached. Okay. Yeah, no, not attractive. But yeah, it's... I don't know, there's a lot to like in this game, actually. I actually think out of all the Paradox games that I've played, I think this one hits the right balance in terms of automation while still giving you a little bit of control and influence over what you're doing. So for instance, I don't need to micromanage this these science fleets, right? I can just sort of take a look and see what they're up to. Right now we haven't really found anything, although of course they're working on the anomaly right now. So I'm certainly making some broader macro decisions in terms of how I'm organizing my empire and how I'm building up my resources. But I don't need to like go in and individually control each unit or something like that. Hearts of Iron 4 is another good example of this one, where you don't necessarily need to control every individual unit, and the game actually gives you some tools and gives you some incentives to actually start using those planners. All right, we've recovered artifacts from an ancient alien civilization on Pentarium 1. If what we have learned from these artifacts is correct, this civilization was some sort of confederation that consisted of many different alien races. They called themselves the First League and appear to have coexisted in relative peace for some 2 million years ago. Though the Pentarium system lies in the region of space that seems to have made up the core of their territory, a partial map found amongst these artifacts indicates that the First League may have covered a significant portion of our galaxy before its eventual collapse. Interesting.
Situation log updated.
So this science ship's going to continue exploring, but what you get now is you get a situation log. And one of the things that this game does, so if you consider...
Anomaly found.
Yeah, I mean, T. Clark, it would be... If you were interested by what you saw, it's worth it. I mean, as is always the case with early access, like it takes a lot for me to buy a game on the basis of the promise, right? I was reasonably satisfied with the experience I had. I don't know if you noticed, actually, the developer reached out on Twitter. Maybe you can let them know you bought it if you did. But yeah, I mean, they seem to be fairly legitimate. It's obviously rough around the edges, like writing-wise, but I mean, I'm pretty sure they're a Russian development studio, so they're likely going from a second language. I'm not entirely sure that's the biggest condemnation I can make of it. Hey, my God, good to see you again. All right. I'll deal with this anomaly and then I'll talk about the situation log. A large amount of ship debris can be found in orbit around this moon, possibly the remnants of some kind of massive fleet action. So again, skill 2, anomaly level 2, so 30% failure risk. Alright, we have recovered the artifacts from the First League. There were a large confederation of alien races that coexisted in relative peace roughly 2 million years ago. The First League's borders may have expanded to cover a significant portion of the galaxy before its eventual collapse. If we can find enough relics from their civilization, it may be possible to pinpoint the location of their home system. So, consider the problem, it's a design problem basically, where you want to make a game about space. All the other grand strategy games can rely on history to give you interesting events and interesting things, right? This is one of the reasons people say that the vanilla Civilization games have been successful where Alpha Centauri and Civilization Beyond Earth have been less successful. I'm not 100% sure that's actually true about Alpha Centauri, because it does seem to be a bit of a beloved game. But they say that, you know, you understand what the pyramids are. Oh God, I love this song. I need to have spaceships going on while this comes up. The Rothakian Corporate Assembly is abuzz with news of alien remnants studied in the ISS Dilnzoro. These leavings are considered a definitive proof of intelligent, purposeful alien activity at some point in the past. We may still be alone now, but we are at least not the first to be so. Here. Oh yeah, it's investigating an anomaly, so it's not going to be moving as much. Isn't it majestic, chat?
Construction complete.
So I'm in a fairly nice point here where I'm not, I mean, it'd be great if all of these things had resources, but I'm not sort of scrambling to get everything built. We're slowly building up our infrastructure. Yeah, Johnny, this is an absolutely gorgeous game. There's clear evidence that a massive space battle took place in the close orbit of Gisht at some point in the last 5,000 years. The surface on one side of the moon is pockmarked with craters from stray weapons blasts, and scans from the ISS Zeraxium have picked up several hunks on the ground. Though these wrecked ships are all in very poor condition, the fact that anything remains after all the damage they must have sustained is a testament to their advanced design. Science Officer Cathoix is preparing an expedition to sift through these derelict hulls for any valuable technologies. Intriguing.
Situation log updated.
So we've got another thing on our situation log. So again, you've got seemingly anything that you can do. I'm not going to pause, but I'm going to go to slowest just so I can bring it in, right? You've got an endless amount of searching that you can do. How do you motivate a player to actually bother doing this, or doing anything? How do you actually make a game out of this? There's a few different ways. I really like the approach that they took, which is, again, it's a little bit like, obviously if you want to play the real Age of Discovery, you play Europa Universalis, but a species' first steps into space, a large part of the opening of this game is just pure exploration, and to give you some things about that you can do for exploration, you have a situation log. Now, the first time I played this got very full very quickly, and so you kind of pick and choose your battles. You know, maybe we do want to go and see if we can find more of these precursors. Maybe instead we want to build up one of my scientists so that we can, you know, we can start researching these anomalies. What this does is, independent of just having another player that's going to do something for you, or is going to like force you to respond to conflict or something like that, this is going to sort of motivate some of your actions in the game. And I think it's a nice little touch. Again, it just keeps coming back to this theme of discovery and exploration, which appeals to me quite a bit. And again, you've got the music to back it up, right? You're heading back to this wonderful world of 2001: A Space Odyssey, and sort of seeing the grandeur and mystery of space. Hello, Pyrobama. How are you doing?
System survey complete.
All right, so our home system's now being completely surveyed. I'll admit I would prefer it if I had more than just 2 resources, but I'll live. So let's head over to Jap. Again, my motivations here are to 1, find all the resources, and 2, I particularly want to explore these planets because they're ones that I can inhabit. Also, it looks like, oh hey, that's actually a really rich planet. You know, Pyrobama, this is actually the first time I've ever played it on stream. It's I'm ashamed to admit because it's such a wonderful game. But Leviathans came out and they did hook me up with a copy of this DLC, so I'm looking forward to it. Now I understand most of the new content for Leviathans is a little more mid-game, but I'm certainly looking forward to it. Because we're a little thin on resources in the galaxy, let's take a quick look and see what we can find here. Oop, another anomaly. We briefly detected some unusual energy readings emanating from this moon. It might have been a glitch in our systems, or it could be a sign of something more. Well, this is one of the lowest failure risks that we've had so far, so I pretty much always research anomalies. I know it's a bit of a career-limiting move for my guys.
System survey complete.
But I think what we'll do here is we'll... Oh, I don't have enough for a hydroponics farm. I'm close, but... Alright, so now I'll slow it down because I'm currently wasting a resource. So it's anyone's guess in terms of what, you know, what I'm going to be able to get expansion-wise. I think I'm probably just going to colonize these planets inside my sphere. It's not necessarily an optimal choice because, of course, I might want to expand my borders out, but there are other ways that I can do that as well. So I guess the question is, do I go, you know, out or in? I think probably the way I'll divide it is that this will go towards Weimar Drift, and this ship will go towards, what is it, Orantes Shroud. Although it's a bit of an indirect path. Let's go to, we'll expand out logically just to places that we might want to bring our borders out. Do I have any other recommendations for grand strategy space colonization games? Good lord, Zippyzoo, what a question. So grand strategy is a tough one. The biggest similarity that I personally see for this game would be Endless Space. Now, I have not played Endless Space 2. Both of those are by a company called Amplitude. But I remember I have really enjoyed playing Endless Space, and it was quite popular on this cast when I played it. They also gave it quite a bit of support for free for a while. I don't know if they'll do that with Endless Space 2. That's currently in early access. Oh.
Science ship under attack.
Well, let's just pause that so we can see the actions. Now the catch is that it's not going to be quite as... So the drawback is as I sort of violate the grand strategy element. It's a lot more like Civilization, so it's a little bit less complex than Stellaris is. Another one that I think might be a bit closer in complexity, which admittedly I haven't played as much of as I'd like to, but GOG hooked me up with a copy of the new Master of Orion. Now, in chat, somebody was saying that they found it disappointing compared to the original game. And so some people would suggest that you go and you play Master of Orion 2, which is a much older game. I can't say that myself because I haven't played it. But I would say probably the two elephants in the room, as far as sort of these space exploration style games, would be Endless Space and Master of Orion. Though if you're looking for sort of Stellaris with a different skin, I really do kind of think that this game's a bit of a one-of-a-kind. I haven't actually played Galactic Civilization. I should keep in mind, I should warn you, Zippyzoo, as much as I like these games, I know the genre... I don't actually know the genre very well. I've got some games I'm somewhat dedicated towards and that I enjoy, but I'm by no means a connoisseur of the genre, and so as a result, any of my recommendations are going to be more of a reflection of what I've played for one reason or another, rather than what are are representative titles of it. Although with that in mind, I really do think Endless Space is quite a good game. So, all right, several pirate ships suddenly launch from where they had been hidden on the surface of JAP 4A. It appears the ISS Zaxxarim has stumbled upon a pirate anchorage, and the cutthroats are none too pleased about the intrusion. Battle stations. All right, what are we up against? That, I believe, is stronger than my existing fleet. So you gotta get the hell out of there, my friend. And I've got a little bit of a dilemma. So it looks like this pirate flotilla doesn't actually have... doesn't look like they have a leader, so I might be able to get by recruiting an admiral. The nice thing here is that this is both the youngest and probably the most useful commander. Yeah, exactly, Pyrobama. I mean, Endless Space itself has an interesting story, but this one, again, I sound like a broken record on this, but I really believe it. What makes this game for me is this sense of exploration and my investment. Like, again, the amount of time... I talk a lot. Obviously, this is a bit of a problem for the stream in terms of growth, although growth isn't everything, right? But to be able to, to just get this level of investment is, it's a rare thing for a game. So we're going to do... I know Johnny Big Time was so impressed by the close-up. Let's watch the combat. I really probably should be building another ship, but I don't think it's going to be ready on time, so... Oh, and we lost the science ship! This is a disaster! So again, they do beat us in terms of firepower, but we outnumber them, and we do have a leader with a bit of an evasion bonus. So hopefully this will count for something. It's gonna get a little scary. We're definitely gonna lose one ship out of this.
Construction complete.
Oh, they're not doing this well. I think we're in a bad way. This might be a short playthrough. Okay, I think we might actually be able to make it. I really don't want to lose this ship, though. No, we lost it. What just happened, Kaylee Cakes? Parabama, so I've got the new Leviathans DLC, and they have, the current version of the game is 1.3.1, so I suspect they've done some enhancements. Oh god, are we gonna... Thank god! Okay. Go repair. And let's, we must rebuild. I thought this is gonna be a nice start. All right, let's start with a new science ship, and I don't have resources, but we're gonna have to build up some new fighters. So one of the other neat things about this game is that you can actually, so as you go, as you engage in combat, you can actually improve your, science by researching the debris, which I think is a neat touch. Really trying to keep us on it. You mean for me in terms of the combat, or do you mean in terms of Kaylee Cakes telling us what's happened? I'm hoping it's related to her flight, but I'd love to know as soon as you're ready, Kaylee. Yeah, I mean,
Construction complete.
let's just. I'm really hoping I don't have to engage anything. All right, so again, we've got some good.
System survey complete.
I don't know if this extra lifespan's really worth it. This is like just getting a normal... we'll go for it. Alright, so first thing we'll do with that science ship is go and research the debris. Oh no, no problem. So you're messaging a follower after your stream, they asked you what was going on. Okay, I like where this is going. I'm just going to move my construction ship over to Penterum. This is because I'm going to be building there next.
I would never want to
Zippy Zoo, thank you very much for that follow. Oh my god, Kaylee Cakes, that is exceptional. I am very, very happy to hear that. I know... Yeah, I mean... It's a really rough thing that you had to go through, and I'm really happy that somebody had the means to help you out that way. That's really good to hear. I'm glad that you're going to be able to go to the celebration of life now. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if they wanted to remain anonymous. If you'd like them to get some credit inside the channel here, by all means, you can name them, and it certainly won't be shaming them. I'd be very happy to let them get the credit for that kindness that they showed. But yeah, that's really wonderful, Kaylee. I'm very happy for you. Especially in light of the rather token amount that I gave you. Lone Wolf Arc. Excellent. I will be sure to thank him the next time I see him. ACR. Okay, gotcha. That is a purple star. Oh, my eyes! Now, you know what? We gotta find there we go. A ringed planet. Oh, that is not a ringed planet. This is a ringed planet, though. Behold, the majesty of space. I bet, Kaylee, that's really wonderful.
Debris analyzed.
All right, so we've researched space torpedoes, 10%, fusion power, 20% progress, 25 points of physics research, and 10 points of engineering research. So not bad at all. Again, it's a net loss for us for sure, but it could have been worse, right? We still have a navy. We've gained some research. We're back to our science level. And I'm going to use this construction ship to actually build a mining station, just so we can sort of get ourselves back on our feet. And I believe I have enough to build at least one more... Yes, one more Corvette. Technology-wise, we're still a few months out on the things that we want. It also looks like at the it's Zildani, the leader here, is on his way to getting a level 3, so we're going to be able to research this this graveyard expedition, because we've had so much success with our our jobs in the past. One of the other things I can do... Oh, hello! Habitable World Survey. We now know without a doubt that a thriving biosphere is not something unique to Rothak. Both the scientific community and the public at large are eager to learn more about the various forms of alien life found throughout the galaxy. Efforts to catalog the life forms we encounter are already underway, but our xenobiologists have urged us to focus our planetary survey efforts on habitable, life-bearing worlds. We can say a commendable initiative, which will begin another event chain in the situation log. Or we can say we have more important matters to focus on, and this will gain more influence, but it will not give me the habitable worlds chain. In this case, we do actually have a few habitable worlds sort of in the area, so I will actually do this.
Situation log updated.
So, our xenobiologists have urged us to survey any worlds with an active biosphere that we come across. They are eager to learn more about the diverse alien ecosystems found throughout the galaxy. Now, we've already researched one. Actually, it looks like we researched two. So we're basically, I think only Jap is going to give us our free one. But hopefully sort of in the, as we explore out here, we're going to start finding some more of those.
Construction complete. System survey complete.
All right, now I need to decide whether or not it's worth it for me to... I think I am actually going to rebuild my... Not only am I going to rebuild my fleet, I'm actually going to build up my military fleet until it has at least 100 power. And then I'm going to go back to do these projects. It's really tempting because a lot of this is science, in fact, particularly engineering. So I would like to get that just so I can sort of speed up my research and become stronger a little bit faster. But after getting clobbered by the space pirates, I'm clearly going to need to do that rebuilding. So my next little bit of effort in terms of my use of minerals is going to be building up my combat fleets, and if I feel a little flush, I might also put some effort on the main planet. The best bet would be for me to be able to to build some more hydroponics farms, but that comes at the cost that I'm putting those resources towards getting more population. And if you notice, like, what I'm going to be putting my population towards isn't minerals. I'm going to have to spend even more minerals to build that up, right? I'm going to have to build a mineral compound here. I might use these free tiles for minerals. So at the moment here, as much as I would like to build up my population as quickly as possible, the fact of the matter is the things that I can get my population working on is not that impressive right now, at least relative to the other things that I can use that money for. So in this case, I'm going to be rebuilding my fleet first, and then we'll maybe start looking into rebuilding some of my planetary structures. Yeah, I think I'm just gonna...
System survey
Well, you know what?
complete.
I should at least put the construction ship back to my main area in case something nasty happens to him.
Anomaly found.
Oh, another anomaly. And he's skill 3, excellent. Okay, strong energy emissions of an unknown origin make this asteroid stand out from the rest of its peers in this crowded asteroid field. So we're going to check that. And once we finish here, we're actually going to go back to our main system so that we can we can do that research. What I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to change up my exploration plans a little bit, and I'm going to give quite a few surveys. We're basically going to explore all of our neighboring systems, and we'll try and make some colonization decisions based on that. Right, so it looks like we're back to our old strength for our fleet, but I want to build at least one more. Actually, let's just do that right away. As far as building infrastructure is concerned, so every time I build one of these spaceports, I believe the cost is 2 energy? No, 1 energy. So we're okay energy-wise, and of course on the home system, I definitely have a lot more options. I have a total of 3 that I can just clear these areas to start extracting, and then of course I can build upgrades on them as well. So we'll be okay for energy for the next little while, but there is a little bit of a balance that you need to strike. I mean, at some point, right now I'm hurting for minerals, but if I'm not careful, I'm going to find that I'm actually short on energy credits, and it's, you know, if I don't plan carefully, that deficit can actually last for a really long time. Alright, asteroid TFB-ST is pockmarked with craters from weapon blasts and appears to have been used as a target range by someone roughly 2 millennia ago. Residual energy readings suggest that they tested increasingly exotic weaponry, including subspace bombs and some kind of singularity generator. Our scientists would be interested in studying the unusual energy echoes that remain. Interesting. And what this has done, that location has actually gained +3 science, so in this case physics research. Now unfortunately we don't own this territory. We could build a sort of an outpost to claim this as our own, but it may not necessarily be the best use of our resources right now. We'll see what the rest of the neighboring systems have. Alright, so I hit my requirement of 105. We can have a total naval capacity of 14, but it does cost money to maintain these ships, and I would prefer to have this energy go towards building up my own capacity. So in this case, I'm gonna hold off. Oh, alright. Crodia 2 is frozen and anonymous to optical scans, but heat signatures indicate some activity just below the surface. I think they've added new music in the DLC. Alright, I think now I'm gonna start. So first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna clear out the food areas. This is of course because right now the population that I grow is going to be working on areas that are not they're not very productive. And I think I need 50 something to build a hydroponics farm. 45. So at the end of the month we should have enough for that. So at this point now, I've got my territory. It's going to slowly expand over time as my sensor range increases. But realistically, this is what I've got as far as stuff to work with. I think this is actually some of the smallest sort of default resources I've seen in a while. Again, I haven't played this game a whole lot, but it doesn't feel like there's a whole lot on this system. So what I'm going to need to rely on is colonizing some of these planets in order to give myself some abilities. I definitely want to prioritize Lisath 3. One, because there's a lot of room for expansion, but also you can see there's food, there's minerals. It's not a bad place to be. I'm going to have to find some way to clear this stuff out, but. Right, some species thrive in harsh environments, such as the chilly biosphere of Codria 2. Science author Cathoix has taken a special interest in one of the types of creatures that skitter across the planet's face, and is of the belief that they may achieve sentience with just a push in the right direction. Something to keep in mind for the future. So it looks like it did actually include our previous habitable worlds. Total D4, I really like this game quite a bit. As I mentioned, I don't mean to sound hucksterish. I mean, I did get this game from Paradox, and I got this DLC from Paradox, but it is currently on sale now, so if you have been on the fence and you're waiting for a deal, it's 25% off on Steam at the moment, and may also be on the Humble Store. I like this quite a bit, but of course I like all of the Paradox Grand Strategy games. You know, we did Hearts of Iron before, I've done Crusader Kings a lot. I did do Europa Universalis 4, I need to do that more often. Interesting, so 45% chance of failure. I think I'm going to leave it be for now, just because I would prefer to have my better scientists study it. But again, I try not to let the fact that I've been given a key for free to be something that prevents me from recommending, just the same as I don't want it to be something that gives an automatic recommendation. So I like this quite a bit. It's my kind of game, and if you've been on the fence on it, I mean, if you have any questions about the game that I can try and answer for you, I'd be very happy to help out. Because I certainly, you know, I get more fun games to play if games like this are successful. And I have been critical of Paradox's DLC pricing in the past, but I actually think Leviathan's is very reasonably priced. So, not a problem at all, Total D4. I hope you enjoy it. And keep in mind, there are 3 editions that you can buy. So the base game, I think originally, I'm Canadian, so $45 Canadian. And then, of course, whatever the discount is now. And then if you want to pay up a little bit, you can get this beautiful soundtrack and, you know, the other alien skins and stuff like that. So, sorry guys, I know this isn't the most exciting to look at right now. We're sort of waiting to digest some of our tasks. I guess I can start
System
putting a little
survey
bit.
complete.
Oop. Which one is this? All right, well, he's already on his way to the next one. What I'm interested in is this science ship finishing its exploration. This one has now become very tempting to build a base because I've got, there's a total of 4 minerals, but then this is also very tempting because of its energy and also the fact that it has a potentially habitable world. Problem, of course, is that they're tundra and alpine, so they're not necessarily all that habitable for my species, and we're not that good in the first place. So I think a spaceport might actually, or an outpost might actually be a reasonable call here. The drawback, of course, is that it does cost influence, so it's fairly costly. I think this thing, the outpost could pay for itself in terms of energy, but I'm not entirely sure that it pays for itself influence-wise. So I'm gonna think about that a little bit before I put any effort in.
System survey complete.
Akram, on the other hand, doesn't pay for itself. That would just be a pure mineral grab. All right, I'm gonna get my best scientist to work on some special projects first. Alright, I've still got some time before this guy... Actually, let's move him over.
Anomaly found.
Yeah, we can research that one. So the big question is, do I want to double down on my population right now, or do I want to put... I think the minerals are the better call at the moment. So we'll build a mining app. Actually, I can build both, so... And while I'm going crazy... So again, this is actually very different from the way that I normally play these kinds of games. Normally I sort of say, you know, it's the economics research coming in, is that technology is the means through which we, you know, we advance and we make a better life for ourselves, and certainly that's borne out in games like Endless Space and Civilization and Stellaris. But in this particular case here, I'm actually looking to build up my industrial base, and so a lot of this is a little bit more long-term, right? So I'm not actually going to be using these. I'm not going to be using these areas. But what I'm doing right now is I'm building up my ability to expand my population. So that'll I'll get bodies working these resources as quickly as possible, and then either I will spend the money clearing this, or I will I'll start building some resource extractors on these empty areas. Someone used a mining laser from orbit approximately 5,000 years ago to carve a large body of writing into the surface of Dressel 3A. A massive script covers a large portion of the moon's upper hemisphere and appears to be a short story chronicling the difficult life of an alien mercenary. Fascinating. That's actually a really interesting idea. So, I mean, this must have been a lot of fun to work on for the writing team. Like sitting down and thinking is like, you know, you've reached a level of civilization where you don't just want to build monuments. You actually want to carve your species story onto planets to let the world, or well, let the universe know that you were there. I have to wonder about. I mean, this is why I like science fiction, right? Is that you learn about us through writing it. All science fiction is, of course, about the age in which it's written. But just to be able to to take some of these ideas from history or I mean even just referencing some great works of the past. It must have been a lot of fun to come up with this stuff. I really like that idea. I mean, I'm mortified by it as a human being. Leave that poor planet alone. One thing I should actually say about this, I mean, we're probably not too far into the game as it is, but so far it's been a pretty lonely universe. We've not encountered any other species, which is good for me, I think, because I am just clicking away at this research. I don't need to do any special projects or something like that. But other than the pirates, it's been a little calm. And as you can see, I've definitely put a lot of emphasis into minerals, but I am getting to the point where things are getting a little imbalanced. All right, let's slow down because I don't want to waste the time. So, this is very tempting because of better ships and better military. I can also assign Zir to work on it. An engineering facility isn't that tempting compared to it right now. Space torpedoes. Again, that's down the missile path, so I'm not sure I want to do that. Now, robot. These robotic work units are perfect for menial label tasks. They are hardworking and capable of following simple vocal instructions, but should not be expected to climb stairs. So what does it give me? Costs 150 energy, 50... I'm not 100% sure what this does. I'm assuming this is some unit that I build and I put into a location. I don't know, Johnny Big Time. I was gonna do the improved spaceport anyway because it does it lets me assign some new or kind of play to my strengths.
Research complete. Special project complete.
The team under Science Officer Zidlaxi has finished their expedition on Gist and returned with the ISS has returned to the ISS Denorzo. Thankfully, the starship graveyard on the surface proved to be a technological treasure trove. Studying the remains of these vessels has advanced our research in certain fields by several years, and there are yet things to discover. A permanent science outpost in orbit would be a great boon to our starship engineering efforts. Excellent. We gained 200 experience for that captain, and we've also gained 120 engineering research, which is great. So I'm actually going to pause just so I can get my bearings on things. All right, physics. Deflectors are very tempting because of our the fact that any pirates we encounter are probably... Oh god, actually there's so many things I want to do. So blue lasers make me stronger. Administrative AI, though, I think I'm going to go for the long term on this one. It breaks my heart, because literally every one of these things I want to research. Deflectors are good because they're gonna help me. They're gonna help me in those situations like when I'm fighting pirates. I really don't want to be losing ships because those are wasted resources, right? Administrative AI. I mean, this is a 5% bonus to research, so I'm gonna be improving my society faster. Blue lasers, again, you know, the best defense being a best offense. If I can take out the ships before they take me down, I'm going to be better off. And then fusion power, again, similar ideas. It's going to be improving my ability to make war. So, in the end, though, I really do think I need to go for administrative AI, and that's just because that's one that will pay off. The sooner I research it, the longer I'm going to accrue the benefits of it, and more importantly, it lines up with Zeraxim's specialty. So in this case, it's just across the board a better call. Okay, we had an anomaly up here, which was a little tricky. So I might actually be sending I might be sending my best scientist off to his death, but 20%. I like those odds.
System survey complete.
I'm a little curious if I build an outpost here, whether or not I'm actually going to be able to incorporate Dressel, because that's going to do a nice job of giving me access to minerals. I think I'm actually at a point now where I can start using my construction ship to build some research stations. I gotta be careful about this because I am going to be running out of energy pretty soon. But we can at least start putting some points towards engineering. And I also think on Rothak. I'm gonna hold off on building the last of these until I can use these spots. So like what this is, I'm spending 1 energy so that I can get 3 engineering points. That's a good trade-off. But I am only gaining 4 energy credits a turn, and I'm going to be needing to use those energy credits for things like colony ships and such. So my expansion at the moment is now halted by the fact that I don't have a lot of obvious ways to get energy, but I have positioned myself, by clearing out these areas, to be building up my energy capacity pretty quickly. Hey, Spoon and Malifesto, thank you very much for coming back. I will admit, guys, I am a little surprised at the attention for Stellaris. I didn't think it was as popular as that, so I also want to comment, so unlike Europa Universalis, which was basically Twitch plays Europa, and a guy advertising himself as a streamer, didn't follow, didn't do anything, just basically used as a platform for self-promotion. I definitely am a lot warmer to playing this game on cast, because it's one thing to do a game that's popular, but also I'm very much concerned with what kind of audience it attracts. And you guys have been a lot of fun to watch with. Problem with you watching someone playing Stellaris is it makes you want to play Stellaris. That's not a problem. All right, so we finally got our colony ship. We can start pushing out our species a little bit. I mean, we've got 3 colonizable planets already, so I get my pick. I do only get 5 of these, but I think the benefits from having population working resources is better. Like, it's better just to do that right away, and then, you just use technology to expand the number of worlds you can colonize. I'm not entirely sure there's an argument to be made for saying, oh no, you gotta save your colony ships. All right, calculating the required resources and gear required to establish a planetary colony allows us to herd brave pioneers into a grand arc ships, confident that they will survive the long voyage across the stars to a new hope. I believe that's Horizon. All right, so genome mapping allows me to double down on my my food. Yeah, so I mean, these are tempting, especially because the space combat naval capacity doctrine, it matches my military theory. But I'm particularly tempted for genome mapping, one, because it opens up a biological path, but also because it allows me to, again, I've already said that my strategy is going to be around colonizing these worlds. I don't have a lot of resources on on like these, in these solar systems, and so I'm actually going to need to start getting resources from the planets themselves. And so, rather than these, which, I mean, not paying for an army upkeep, you know, or paying less for an army upkeep, you know, kind of helps me out in resource-wise. And, you know, having a higher naval capacity is certainly going to help me conquer, but again, I'm going to need to maintain that navy. So I think genome mapping is the call for what my current plans are. Again, I'm going to have 3 planets worth on top of my homeworld that I'm going to need to be populating. So it's definitely not a bad one for me to be going with. After closer inspection, Science Officer Zidlaxi found random space debris orbiting the star. It probably originated from a nearby asteroid belt. So that probably means that he failed. Ah well, can't win them all. I'm pretty sure we've already surveyed this. Yes, we have. So let's... Oh. They're going to be colliding, but whatever. They can figure it out. Yeah, well, I mean, the other thing too, Manifesto, I mean, obviously there's some differences of opinion in chat, but the biggest one for me is that because I have my best option right now, unless I want to start giving up influence points to take one of these areas with a colony, the reality is that my growth is going to be coming from colonizing these planets. And so because I'm going to be adopting this colonization route, it actually is probably a good idea for me to be improving my my growth rates. Speaking of which, what's it going to take me to build a colony ship? 350. I'm not paying all that. Oh god, I really want that, but I really need to be focusing on energy right now. Let's go window shopping for a planet, chat. So I think we said this one was going to be our second option. Yeah, well, especially seeing as it's not habitable. Let's go to the habitable one. So yeah, I mean, our main food resources are currently occupied by a volcano. Right now we have access to 1 food, 2 minerals, and 1 energy. This is definitely not a planet we want to be colonizing yet. Letha 3 is the one that's got these nice little, you know, clusters of 2 mineral, 1 food, 2 mineral, and some energy. So this is a nice overall one, and we only have 3 resources which are currently blocked by immovable hazards. And in the end, there's science ones, which I like. Science is important, but in terms of like establishing myself on this planet, this is a pretty tempting one. I think it's also an ocean. It is an ocean world, so perfect for my species. And let's take a look at Jap, which is going to have a hard time convincing me. Yeah, so I mean, just 1 food. A rare resource, but again, it's under a tough one. So I think probably what we're going to wind up doing is we'll take at least Jap is tempting just so that we can add Kodria to our sphere of influence. But I think Liseth is the obvious one that we want to go with. As much as I really want to capture 7 resources. Or mineral resources, I need to start being really conscious of my energy usage. I really should start building a power plant here, but I also need to save up for that colony ship, so I'm gonna hold off for a little bit.
System survey complete.
I think once I build a power plant on this area, then I can start building the hydroponics farms and expanding out again. Just gonna realign my exploration goals. All right, so I think what I'm gonna do is, it's a little indirect, but I'm gonna start kind of bulging out this way at the start. There's not a whole lot here, but I might as well kind of take a look at the options. And again, I'm just gonna continue these sort of circular paths. They're sort of the most natural way that I'm going to expand. Any mods to them? I don't quite know what you mean by that, but I think I would know. Alright, so Pentarium, rocky world with nitrogen, oxygen, atmosphere, and a significant hydrosphere covers more than 90%. I think this is what you mean by a mod, right? So low gravity on Pentarium 3. Lisath, which I'm currently considering as my primary. Oh, bonus to minerals, so that's almost like a guarantee for me to wanna take this one. And Jap doesn't have anything. So indirectly I wound up making the right call. For me, at least. Can't remember the game, but you played one that if you grew a colony too fast, it wouldn't have enough resources, and then it would rebel for being unhappy, and sometimes it would start their own government and the AI would take over. I kind of want to see that now. Probably not an optimal way of playing. I'm also I'm questioning my decision about...
Anomaly found.
Oh. An abandoned ship has been left to drift aimlessly above this moon. The massive sails protruding from its hull suggest that it relied on solar power to function. I'm sort of questioning my decision to hoard influence. Again, I think my colonization plans are going to take care of what I need anyway. But maybe building some outposts would help me. 425111 is partially hollow. Within its interior spaces sprawls a dense honeycomb structure crafted by some unknown alloy, housing containers of alien genetic material. By all appearances, this is an archive of life, the genetic record of some earlier civilization that has come and gone. Most of the DNA is hopelessly degraded, but there is still much to learn here. Does that give me another situation log? Not really. I'm a little curious, for those of you who have not played this game before. Oh, by the way, Kelly Cake, sorry, I didn't notice your message there. Congratulations on booking the flight. Again, I'm really, really happy that that happened for you. But for those of you who have not played Stellaris, or haven't even played particular games like this, what do you think of this one? I feel a little bit safer talking less during this one because the soundtrack is so beautiful. But I also don't know if that translates into not making, or I don't know if it translates into not being fun to watch. While rerouting power to its main sensor array, the ISS Zib Korox experienced a critical reactor failure above Plav 2B. The vessel's science officer perished in the resulting explosion, along with the rest of the crew. Man, Apparently, I hire red shirts for science officers. Well, send in the next clone. This is actually the least luck that I've ever had with anomalies. Normally I just get like, there wasn't anything there. I think maybe once I get to the 3/4 level, I'll consider building a power plant here. I'd kind of like to get that colony ship as soon as I can. It's also somewhat debatable as to whether or not... Oh, Science Officer Zidlaxi has leveled up and gained the trait Expertise Particles. Good for her.
Construction complete.
It does potentially recommend her... Let's take a look. Yeah, I've got a bunch of theorists already, so it doesn't quite pay off. This is, by the way, an interesting... So there's a built-in idea here, right? Is that with these kinds of bonuses, you start off as like a young explorer, and then maybe you move into research, and then you leave it to sort of the next generation to come up and do the bold new discoveries. I don't necessarily play that way, but I sort of like that that's built into the mechanics of the game, because of course this is a little bit how it works in the real world, right? Like, you don't necessarily have to be Indiana Jones or anything like that, but you know, young researchers are sort of known for their very dynamic, their very bold kinds of discoveries, whereas, you know, the people who write textbooks are usually people who are a little bit more mature in their careers, I think is the diplomatic way of putting it. Alright, well, the youngest one also has a survey speed bonus, so I think that's a fairly obvious choice. And again, just sort of following these expanding circles. It's not necessarily, you know, it's not a brilliant strategy, it's just the best I can sort of work with. Most of these paths actually don't make any sense at all, but if I find something interesting, I'll move forward. All right, I think we can finally build our colony ship. This is probably going to really hurt energy-wise.
System survey complete.
Hello, D-Sonic. How are you doing? I'm quite well. We're enjoying Stellaris, really wonderful game by Paradox Development Studio. They gave us a copy of the Leviathans DLC. I haven't really encountered any of the DLC stuff, but this is a very satisfying game on its own. An ancient orbital shipyard drifts in silence above this world. It has suffered a significant battle damage, and entire sections of the facility are missing. So yeah, I think the best I can sort of say for this playthrough, D-Sonic, the thing that I love the most about Stellaris, so this comes down to its soundtrack and sort of the things that it motivates for you. The opening of the game is very much focused around exploration, and what we've done is we've created the species and we've made a little bit of backstory for it. So what they are is they are a short-lived species. Sort of the way that they are going to propagate is that they'll go out to a planet. The first generation sort of dies off very quickly, and it's the subsequent generation that goes through, and this has led them to become very conscious of their brief lives, and so as a result, they're very industrious. They make the most of the time that they have. So, I mean, again, you don't have to do this as part of the game, but it's just sort of, this is the sort of way that I want to play this this species. And we've just been enjoying, the look of the game. It's been a little bit of a calmer start than I'm used to in this game. We've got a lot of territory to discover, but right now I've also been dealing with some firsts. So like I don't have as many resources as I'm accustomed to starting in the game with, and just overall it's been a fun little opportunity to maybe do something I haven't done before in Stellaris to sort of see a new perspective.
System survey complete.
All right, so I've got an idle ship right now. Again, just sort of dealing with this first layer around, and then we'll see what our other options are. This is again a very extremely tempting resource to.
Situation log updated.
Oh, hello. We have encountered some form of alien vessels in the Hizzle system. These strange objects have been flagged as Hizzle until we can learn more about them. We should proceed with caution. So let's see what they look like first of all. Holy hell! While conducting their survey of Hojam 4, the ISS, Dinorzo detected the remains of an automated shipyard in orbit. It is at least 1,000 years old and seems to have been subjected to a heavy missile barrage, but one of its manufacturing bays is still in working condition. Science Officer Zidzal is confident that power can be restored to the shipyard, but it would be a significant project.
Situation log updated.
So D-Sonic, not only did we get a choice of species, wow. Not only did we get a choice of species, we actually built the species. The customizations for species is unparalleled. So I think the game is a lot about exploration and sort of crafting this nice big space opera. And whether you want to take sort of the, how do I put it? If you want to take the, I'm going to tell a story, or I just want to conquer everything route, I think there's a little something for everyone. But to me, again, the music, the way that they sort of motivate things for you to do. So we've got this situation log here of different things that I have available. To me, it really it sort of commends the game towards, getting invested in this experience, towards steeping yourself in this world that's being created and sort of taking your part, finding your space in the galaxy. So when I wrap up, I mean, I'm not going to be casting too much longer because it's close to midnight and I do need to be up early for work tomorrow, but maybe at the end of the cast if you guys are still here, I'll show you a bit of what the customization looks like. Alright, we need to learn more about the mysterious aliens residing in the Hizzle system. If they possess a language, we must decipher it and establish communication. So the rewards is influence or a special project. Now what's going to happen here is that my genome mapping is actually going to be put on hold because we're going to be investigating the Hizzle. However, I think this might actually be something that was introduced in the Leviathans DLC, because I haven't seen this before. Doesn't this look cool? Yeah, D-Sonic. I mean, so my view is that out of all of the Paradox games that I have played, this is the most friendly to newcomers. That doesn't mean it's easy to learn, but it is, I think it's the one that you have the most fair shot of, actually, you know what? I want to research this project before I do anything. I think it's the one you have the most fair shot of getting into at the start. I have also been saying to again, I'm going to sound like a shill for Paradox, but it is on sale right now if it is something that you're looking to pick up. But I know there's definitely more than a few people who watch this channel who do not like playing games like this themselves, but they do enjoy watching it. I think actually Jessie Quill gave me an extremely kind compliment by saying that, you know, she doesn't ever really want to play a game like this on stream, and she's maybe a little tempted to do multiplayer with me at some point, although I don't know whether or not that's just because we like playing games together and it doesn't really matter what the game is. Oh, that's a really great looking planet. But she said it's like, you know, I think she said something to the effect that it was sort of the one time that she sort of knew that she could just like watch any kind of game, like just, you know, enjoy it because it's an opportunity for me to talk and reason and go through this. So yeah, I mean, to Spoon's point, I mean, every other grand strategy game that Paradox is sort of still publishing has at the very least a sequel. So the youngest as far as like number of iterations would be Victoria, which has only gotten Victoria 2, and it's not at all clear as to whether or not they will make another one, because apparently that game has not been successful in either Victoria 1 or 2, which I think is a shame because it's probably the most well-developed economic system they have, which is of course of great interest to me. But all their other games, you know, Hearts of Iron is now on number 4, Europa Universalis is now on number 4, Crusader Kings, again, number 2, and almost certainly is going to be getting a Crusader Kings 3. Whether or not it gets it right away is anybody's guess. I mean, I think there's still a lot of stuff that they can do with Crusader Kings 2 DLC-wise, but you also probably want to start, like, while I am not a game developer myself, I sort of know the effort that it takes, so I have a feeling those projects are at least in some kind of, you know, planning stage. All right, looks like we're slowly expanding our borders, not to a point where we can do anything interesting though. So let's see what my options are.
System survey complete.
I hope they're...
Construction complete.
Ah, here we go. So I gotta pause just to sort out what's going on. All right, so my colony ship's been made. That's kind of killed my my energy credits, and it's gonna be like this for a little while, but it's gonna pay off in the end. So let's get colonizing as quick as we can. I believe we said it was Liseth was the one. It had bonus minerals, and it had a pretty good layout for resources. All right, now I believe if you land on... if you land on an area, it actually destroys the resources. So I'm going to take a slightly longer plan here. I'm actually going to put it here because it's beside 3 kind of... It's... Okay, actually, here I'll give the negative argument. If I put it here, it's the same as going on this spot, but I get energy for free. If I put it here, it is one of the higher food tiles, but that's the only thing I'm putting it towards. So in the end, if you, like, this is not going to give me any direct benefits. This is more of a plan for the future, but that was more or less my justification for landing on that spot. I can unpause. So again, this is going to be costing me fairly heavily for the next little bit, but I do have some I have some reserves. And this is where I start kicking in my my productive capacity, because I can actually eliminate this deficit by building this one power plant. And actually, on top of that, I'm going to go crazy. I'm going to build the hydroponics farm, and then we're going to build another power plant. And I believe it takes energy to clear this up. Actually takes everything. So I'm not going to clear these things until we're done our colonization. I think once we do that, I'm going to start using my construction ship again, and we're going to start building these research labs. All right, have a great one, Malefisto. It was a lot of fun having you around. I hope to see you sooner rather than later. Hello. Looks like we've got another... Looks like we've got another empire in the area.
Special project complete.
I actually haven't played Sins of a Solar Empire. And how are you doing, Bioghost? Science Officer Zidlaxi has successfully restored power to the automated shipyard over Hojem 4. The facility immediately resumed its interrupted construction order, using what materials it had on hand to build 3 advanced raiders of an unknown design. Unfortunately, the ancient facility broke down completely afterwards and has been deemed beyond repair. We have sent crews to the new ships and commissioned them into our fleet. Excellent.
Situation log updated.
We've encountered some form of alien vessel in the Distal system. These strange objects have been flagged as the beta aliens until we learn more about them. We should proceed with caution. So, by beta alien, they mean one who wears a fedora and complains about how they're a nice guy and they can't date anybody. Again, I hate putting off this growth time, but I do actually want to start... learning. News of alien ships humming through the ether have reached Rothak, in many ways ending the first chapter in the book of the Rothakian Corporate Assembly's bid for Stellar Empire. So this might actually put a bit of a damper in terms of some of my expansion plans, because it looks like if they can build a science facility here. We're receiving transmission from the independent space station of the Artisan Troop. They appear to have successfully translated our language. Yep, this is something from Leviathans. So. I like that too, D-Sonic. Greetings, I, Rallium Den Agasa, headmaster of the Artisan Troop, greet you. What can we do for you? Perhaps produce a work of art for you to enjoy? Or maybe you wish to sponsor our enclave in the creation of otherworldly beauty. So we can try and commission an art piece. We wish to become your patron. Tell us more about your troop. And we could organize a festival across our worlds. So, I don't actually know what this thing does, so let's find out together, chat. We are the Artisan Troop. The troop consists of several stations inhabited by creatives of many worlds, all unified in the desire to create new beauty in these safe havens. They bring their ideas and methods from all around the galaxy, and together we will find the ultimate expression of the self. We provide many services to those who wish to enjoy art. If you help sponsor our work, we might even be willing to organize larger events for your people. Let's say we wish to become your patron. That would be helpful, allowing us to try new ideas and take more risks in our creation process. We have a 10-year program that would require the following each month. Wow. I don't think I can afford 25 a month. Our colony ship has made a gentle splashdown in the planet-spanning ocean of Liseth Prime, just off the shores of a large archipelago. This fertile island chain will serve as an excellent first landing site. The ship has been permanently anchored in preparation for its conversion into the administrative headquarters of the new settlement. Its reactor core is in the process of being removed so that it may serve as the colony's temporary power source. Hundreds of small tents and prefab shelters have sprung up on the island surrounding the former starship's massive hull as colonists begin to disembark in large numbers. The first Sek Lokar city on an alien world. A great day for the Rothkarian Corporate Assembly. 60 engineering research gains, so in 7 months we're going to have better ships. And now, triumphant music for our first colony too. Our hardy pioneers are establishing a foothold on this planet. This process costs 8 energy a month and will take approximately 12 months to complete. Estimated finish 2/20/09/12/01. We detected the presence of an alien civilization on Relifek in the Oxymon system. They appear to be in an early space age, as evidenced by many primitive satellites orbiting their homeworld. Their nation-states are on a path towards joining together in a global government, and it is likely only a matter of time before they venture beyond their world and join the galactic community. We should consider building an observation post above their world to study them more closely. Interesting. And I don't know how long that thing has been idle, but let's, first of all, we now actually have a pretty sweet fleet. Wow! Wow! These are great. Alright, here's what I think I'm going to do. I'm going to go to Plav, Distool, and then I'll just go back to my circles.
System survey complete.
Have a great one, Johnny Big Time. I'm probably going to be wrapping up myself in a little bit, so... You know, I think I'm actually going to start building these science stations. My main motivation for this is I can actually afford to be running a pretty heavy energy deficit for a while. I actually really hope my borders... you know what? My borders aren't actually going to pull out there. I can only build... I can actually only build a listening post if it falls within my borders.
Anomaly found.
We've had good habit. We've had good good luck with anomalies, right? I'm pretty sure they've added new music to the DLC. Actually, I might have gone a little crazy with the number of energy credits I spent. I think we'll be fine, though. Oh yeah, this is nothing. Oh God, listen to that.
Research complete.
So I didn't really explain what was going on with this one. mostly want the ion thrusters because normally they give you a higher evasion. So again, just something to improve the survival of my my fleets. There's clear evidence that a massive space battle took place in the close orbit of Plav 3A at some point in the last 5,000 years. The surface on one side of the moon is pockmarked with craters from the stray weapons blasts, and scans from the ISS Denorzo have picked up several hulks on the ground. Though these wrecked ships are all in very poor condition, the fact that anything remains after all the damage that they must have sustained is a testament to their advanced design. Science officer Zidlaxi is preparing an expedition to sift through these derelict hulls for any valuable technologies.
Situation log updated.
Well, like I was saying, D-Sonic, I like talking about a lot of the, the things that go into this game. Things like this music. And to me, this comes right back to 2001: A Space Odyssey. I mean, this is even older, right? So you've got Gustav Holst's The Planets, Mars the Bringer of War, inspiring the Imperial March and things like that. And just to see, your civilization develop and to become so invested in the creation of your species and to nurture them as they come from their home planet, as they expand out. Again, you tell this big space opera if you want. And I think whether they consciously did so or not, they took a lot of the elements that have made some of the best science fiction and they've put it all towards the game. So I don't think it is a mistake that the music is the way that it is. I think it's the soundtrack that we've always had for games that are about big, or for media that are about big ideas. And at the risk of sounding a little too grandiose, but questions about man's place in the stars and such, right? You need only go back to 2001: A Space Odyssey and see how you feel when you hear "Thus Sprach Zarathustra" playing, and you understand why the music was the way that it was.
Construction complete.
Can I not merge these? Yeah, there we go. Yeah, for sure. Immense ragged plains of shadow drift across the across Adilamar 2A's face. They are cast not by clouds, but by sheets of organic material drifting through the upper layers of the atmosphere, hinged, or rather jointed, to allow for a small degree of articulation. Science Officer Zaz is as yet unwilling to say whether these things are flora or fauna, or what possible purpose, if any, their elaborate shadow casting might serve. Oh god, there's so many resources that I can get. But they're all outside of my borders.
Complete.
After successfully translating their language, we have established communications with the Allied Drul Perfen systems. Diplomatic channels are now open and all hostilities have been terminated. So we gained some influence off of that, which is good. Okay, so they are a direct democracy, erudite explorers, so this is more likely to be an ally for us. They're also individualists, and they're also materialist. They're sort of the inversion of us, so they're more individualistic than they are materialistic. We have quite a bit in common. So we've met our first alien species. Well, first alien empire, if you will. Greetings from the Allied Drul Perfen systems. Chancellor Guldorn Hadfuleth is our elected representative, but in truth all citizens have a voice in our government. We strive to better ourselves through technology, a desire that we hope you will respect. You can say, our citizens send their regard, Drul Perfeni. The way forward lies in our hands, Drul Perfeni, and who is... This is the fact my leader doesn't have a name. Let's say our citizens send their regards. The news that we have encountered intelligent alien life for the first time has been received with mixed feelings by our populace. This confirms what we had long suspected, that we are not alone in the galaxy. Each alien species we encounter represents both an opportunity and a threat. We must be wary. These particular Xenos have a level of technology similar to our own, indicating that we achieve spaceflight at roughly the same time. So we definitely I'm almost certain that we outdo them militarily. But let's see. So there's a little bit of because of border friction and new content. Greetings, Seklokar. Do you come with questions or with answers? So I most want to do non-aggression pact, but I think we're actually just gonna have to, yeah. I might be giving away a little too much with this, but interesting. So if I go to 12 years, they like it a little bit more. Well, let's try. This will also bring the bonds closer, so. There we go. Very well. Allied drill friends, defense systems find this offer acceptable. Now again, we gave them a lot more in terms of information, but we also sort of know that there's a bound on our rightward expansion unless we want to start fighting.
Colony established.
We've established a colony, Liseth Prime, in the Liseth system. I'm a little curious for myself. I wonder what this golden 9 is supposed to mean. Yeah, so they got pretty lucky in terms of the resources within their borders. Now, what I'm most interested in is whether or not, so that seems like even though we're doing a trade, it didn't actually improve the mood. So I think we're just gonna have to wait, which is fair. There's a side of me that's a little tempted to declare a rivalry, of course, because that will help my influence, but I'm not guaranteed to run into any other aliens that have the ideological similarities with me, and so I don't necessarily want to aggravate these potential allies. All right. So I don't think there's any point in upgrading anything until...
Special project complete.
Team Under Science Officers Idlaxi has finished their expedition on Plov 3A and have returned to the ISS Denorzo. Thankfully, the starship graveyard on the surface proved to be a technological treasure trove. Studying the remains of these vessels has advanced research in certain fields by several years, and there were yet things to discover. A permanent science outpost in orbit would be a great boon to our starship engineering efforts. Alright, so I need to find out what I want to do with this. So there's not a huge reason to be researching these kinds of systems right now, but I'll just continue on with my path. And then I think what I'll probably do is I'll get, one sort of sweeping out this way, and then I'll get another sweeping down this way. We're actually getting close to the borders here, which is kind of nice. I'm a little curious what it'll cost me to get a governor. Well, in addition to being second youngest, I like this for food and hydroponics farm building. Yeah, I don't think any of these edicts are worth it right now. And at some point I should build a spaceport, but it's a little early for that. And continuing on my my path to building some more research stations. I might actually be wrapping up at this point, I think, but let's see if there's anything else in the situation log we can work with. We still need to find 2 more habitable planets. And we've not found any First League artifacts yet, but I think that's just a matter of time. Yeah, pacing-wise, I'm reasonably happy with how this game's turned out. We had a nice little point where we didn't have any, well, this is interesting.
Situation log updated.
We've encountered some form of alien vessels in the Penterum system. These strange objects have been flagged as Epsilon aliens until we can learn more about them. Well, again, I'm really hesitant to put off this growth, but it is good for getting influence, so... Let's see what they look like. I was really hoping I would run into a Leviathan so I could show you guys what those things look like. They are extremely impressive. But yeah, so it's kind of nice to have this little, you know, extended isolation and just kind of get ourselves set up. It's nice that we have a somewhat friendly neighbor who, in a broader sense, I'm going to need to worry about because of their access to better resources than me. But in terms of their position in the world right now, I'm not especially concerned about their might. They do have a slightly better military than I thought they would.
Anomaly found.
But I'm somewhat confident. Yeah, so they've got missile technology. I mean, my lasers can burn them up. They can bomb the hell out of me for sure. But they don't have anything that's going to cause too much distress for my lasers. And I think depending on how this changes, I may consider investing a little bit in anti-missile technology. I honestly don't think that it's going to come down to conflict, though. It would be pretty unusual to run into something like that. At least with a species like this. A direct democracy like this is not going to be particularly warlike. It's a little early on the power, but I think the big question now is what I want to do with these remaining spots, because once this population has been made, well, no, actually I can start using the science tiles. So I've got about 3 turns of free upgrades with them. I think probably what I should do is make at least 1 power plant to pay for these science buildings. Actually 2 power plants to pay for the science buildings, and then I'm gonna decide after that whether I should make any other what my last my last resource extraction should be. A microsingularity recently intersected Edsik 4, passing straight through the core and emerging on the other side of the planet. The encounter does not seem to have caused any permanent damage, but it has altered the energy output of the planetary core slightly in a way that defies our current scientific models. Further study may be warranted. Looks like we've just given some free research to our potential allies.
Construction complete.
I should consider building out my fleet capacity a bit more, but I'd kind of like to finish my upgrades. If we can get Okram in our borders,
System survey complete.
this would be good. Same with Edelmore, but these are all kind of optimistic in terms of what I'm actually going to be able to reach.
Anomaly found. Situation log updated.
Encountered some alien vessels in the Outplayed system. These strange objects have been flagged as the Zeta aliens. Until we can learn more about them, we should proceed with caution.
Evading hostile fleet.
Well, don't like the fact that they're hostile, but again, setting aside my higher priorities. Holy crap. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to be researching there anytime soon. So just for the sake of argument, the bow section of an ancient First League cruiser has been discovered orbiting Edsik 2. There is insufficient debris nearby to account for the rest of the ship, but what little remains is in very poor condition. The hull has been riddled with holes from what appears to be large mass driver projectiles.
Situation log updated.
Again, I always want to take advantage of the... Alright, who's my best captain? This is our first chance to do one of these artifacts, so... Anyway, so while I'm looking at this, for the sake of the argument, let's say I wanted to build a science lab. It's going to cost me one energy. On top of the space stations I've already been building. So for science, I'm going to build 1, 2, 3. So I'm going to have a total of 4 energy being consumed from these labs. Alright, so I build 2 power hubs, or power plants. Actually, they both produce... Interesting. So I should build at least 1 power hub, because it provides a 10% bonus to my energy credits. And I need to shore up my social research, so...
Special project complete.
Leatu, thank you very much for the auto-host. The spaceborne life forms, which the Sect Lokaran head of society research has come to refer to as the Tianki, are docile creatures, capable of accessing some lower dimension of subspace. They roam from system to system with remarkable ease. They graze on gases common to the upper layers of many gas giants. It is highly unlikely, to say the least, that this is their only food source, but intake of other nutrients is yet to be observed. They will rarely, if ever, attack, even when provoked. They can be safely ignored. Hunting them would be a net loss anyway. And we gain tech. So this is a little wasteful what I'm doing right now because I'm not actually able to work these tiles, but hello! Parasitic elements always flock to new markets, seeking to cut into profits at the expense of those doing honest business. Space has proven no different. Several underground criminal organizations on Rothak have expanded their operations into space by converting a small fleet of civilian freighters into warships. The outlaws call themselves the Screaming Demons, and their ships have started menacing civilian shipping lanes. We should act quickly before the situation gets out of hand. The trade must flow. Alright, so first thing I'm doing is equipping myself either to replace the damages that we will inevitably face, or possibly to reinforce my fleet. Next thing I want to do is go to my ship designer. Hello, what is the expansion planner? Oh, neat. Oh, that's right. We haven't actually researched these upgrades yet. Okay, so I don't think it's shown where the
research complete.
The pirates are yet. Okay, great. We've got our new ion thrusters, so that's actually going to come just in time to deal with these scoundrels. Mining Network 2 is actually a very tempting upgrade, but so are nanocomposite materials, which will make my ships a little bit stronger. But I did say I was going to be going a little less... I think we're going to continue on with our resource focus. As much as it pains me to do that, because I actually do want a strong military. So let's wait until the pirates show up before we oh, hang on. Let me go into my ship designer. Let's, okay, they're already upgraded, so... What's it going to cost me to... Yep, I can do that. I just hope the pirates don't show up while we're upgrading. The key where I want to do why I want to do this is if I can improve the invasion of this if I can improve the evasion of this fleet before I go into combat, the likelihood of me losing a ship is much smaller, and so it's a little more ideal. Okay, so they're 123. We're gonna have a pretty easy time clobbering them.
Research complete.
Okay. Physics lab is tempting, fusion reactor even more so. Oh, but field modulation as well. Now it's not obvious to me this doesn't necessarily make my fleet better, except that it's maybe a little more efficient in terms of its use of power. Field modulation, though, is definitely an improvement in my abilities, but then orbital energy conversion's also very good for... But then that's for a space station, so I think I'm gonna go for field modulation. Hello, Mr. Franz. How you doing? I think I'm going to go for this just because it makes my buildings better. How are the Star Hunters on their upgrade? Waiting. You may not be able to wait, my friends.
Evading hostile
All right.
fleet.
I wish there was some kind of progress bar for this. Ah, here we go. Oh, it's waiting to build. Alright. I think we may actually wind up losing a base because of this, but I do actually want to do this upgrade.
Special project complete.
The archaeological expedition to the first League cruiser orbiting Insect 2 has returned. Little of use could be found on the ruined vessel, but the archaeologists did manage to recover its crew manifest. The First League called upon all its member worlds to staff the Grand Navy, their joint Starfleet, and throughout the manifest we have learned that the crew of this particular cruiser was made up of individuals of 12 different species. Hi Joshy man, how are you doing? Long time no see. Alright, and we've gotten some research. Okay, that actually
Ships
is
upgraded. Construction complete.
really short. Okay, cool. My construction ship is safe. So I think we're gonna finish off the night with this battle. So we'll wait until my guys get into the system. They're heading straight for my
Station under attack.
research station, unfortunately. So this is going to be a little hair-raising as far as whether or not this thing can survive. Oh, while I'm at it, I do need to finish my research. Oh, they're on their way, so... Pretty good, trying to get back into an MMO that you've been away from for a long time. Not WoW. So what are you playing? I'm Will. We're actually going to be wrapping up pretty soon, Joshy man, I hate to say, but we're going to finish with some combat in this beautiful game called Stellaris. Have you seen this before, out of curiosity? Oh! Alright. Do you want me to do it slow, chat? I mean, look at this. This is gorgeous. I might leave this up just so I can see what happens in the combat. What's the most dramatic angle we can take? Okay, we'll speed up as we go in. Don't worry, research base, we're coming!
Hostile fleet engaged.
Oh, don't worry, Joshy man. We're the slowest, so we can appreciate, we can savor this moment. Look at that! They don't stand a chance! Get wrecked, son! This is a good example of one of Lancaster's laws at work, that we're focusing down these enemies. As a result, they're going to have less firepower, which we're going to push towards our own ends. Alright.
Anomaly found. Situation log.
Thus ever for pirates! Go ahead, guys. You can do your victory lap. I think this thing heals automatically, but you guys gotta go heal yourselves, so. So yeah, this is one of these cases where, even though it costs more to have a bigger navy, I specifically waited for the additional unit, so I could basically take advantage of the fact that focusing down and taking something out of combat, taking a piece off the board, as I like to say it, is it can be the difference between whether or not you lose a unit or not. So I don't have a lot of money right now, but I want to build things. The structures on Cormagos 6 are not as old as we first believed. It seems to be a playground or an amusement park of some sort. Science Officer Zaz notes that many of the contraptions are highly complex creations that we can learn much from, and that to the builder's alien eyes, this might have been a cutting-edge sensor array, or even a gigantic art installation. Regardless, to us Sec Locarian, it looks mostly like a place where you would take your young and let them amuse themselves. Intriguing. We've gained society research and engineering research, so hopefully that means that this special project's going to wrap up pretty soon. What are my science ships up to? I have a feeling I've kind of queued them up for quite a bit.
System survey complete.
Excellent. Okay. So I'm going to be able to research the debris. That research station heals pretty quickly, actually. That's nice to know. I do sort of feel like I should be building up a little bit more of my infrastructure. Yeah, because I only have one more thing in orbit that I actually need to build. So, at least until I start spreading out to other systems, but I'm not sure if Okram is actually going to be trying to make. I think Jap is the most sensible next target for expansion, so maybe I should actually be saving up towards towards another colony ship. Reports of deep space drones in certain systems have been investigated. The drones appear to be the workers and custodians of an autonomous orbital mining operation established millennia ago and then soon abandoned by all but the drones themselves, judging by the state of the processing equipment. Their purpose is obvious enough, mining, but who it is that tasks them is not immediately apparent. What is obvious is that no shipment of materials has been retrieved from the system in hundreds, if not thousands of years. This may only be old drones, but they could be kept under close watch by the Rothakian Corporate Assembly. I could establish a listening post on Rothak, or let's see what they're made of, take them apart. Hey Josh, man, actually I'm a huge fan of the Secret World, so that's really cool that you're playing that. I've been on and off in terms of what I've done, of what I've played with it, but I am a fan. I wish I remembered what system this was. Okay, so it's not Itzek. I haven't gotten too far in it, so I've not had that experience. I'll admit I'm not necessarily very good at it, but I'd actually like to put some more time into that game. Oh wait, maybe it is Itzek. Okay.
Situation log updated.
Let's take them apart. Disable and attempt to reverse engineer a mining drone. Why do I have a feeling this is... I have a feeling this is gonna wind up costing me.
Construction complete.
So I don't remember which planet's supposed to have these drones. Yeah, I definitely went a little too aggressive on my expansion. This is all just wasted resources at this point. So I think we'll sit back on that. Now, as far as the drone sequence is concerned, I feel like they should be in this system. I'm not crazy about actually having to go through all of these again, but...
System survey complete. Debris analyzed.
Alright, nanocomposite materials, 10% progress, physics research 20 points, and 5 engineering research, so not bad. I mean, these were weaker enemies, so we're not going to get as much as we originally would have. Okay, what I'm going to do with this science ship, I'm actually going to do a little tour of the realm. This is not a very efficient idea. Oh, so there is a research project here. We just want to see if it like alerts like, you know, drone here or something like that. I did say I was going to wrap up though, didn't I?
Research complete.
Okay, that's a nice one. So you can build a... That's a really tempting one to do, actually. But so is nanocomposite armor. Because we're already... Well, we're always going to have this option, so... But then this is also a high... We received a communique from a previously unknown spacefaring empire that calls themselves the United Nations of Earth. They claim to have learned of our existence by listening in on the communications of another empire that we are in contact with. Interesting. An indirect democracy of Federation builders. Greeting from the United Nations of Earth. We are a democratic nation committed to upholding the individual freedoms of our citizens, regardless of their species. Our elected leader, President Veer Patil, hopes for a long and fruitful relationship with your people. Our citizens send their regards, human. Nice. Okay. That's definitely a point that we'll end on. So, I think I'm going to go for nanocomposite armor just because... Well, I mean... It's expensive, but it's... Ugh. There's no better time for me to research that because I get a plus 5% because of the administrative AI. And my engineering is my top research. 40 months? It's long, but I'm gonna go for it. Thank you again for that host, Jesse Quill. We're actually, we're finishing up in a little bit. All right, let's do one last little bit of diplomacy with, oh hey, the United Nations of Earth automatically like me. Because we don't have border issues. We're still in the early days of galactic history. The sooner we embrace cooperation, the sooner we can advance to greater things and new frontiers. So why won't they do a non-aggression pact? I don't like the cost of influence, so... I forgot there's a base amount that I need to do, so... They're not going to agree to, yeah, research agreement. Let's see if we can do similar idea here, trade star charts. I'm kind of giving away the store here because I think my star charts are the best, but... Oh, they're close.
Construction complete.
It's getting a little crowded here. So yeah, I think I need to make some decisions in terms of where I want to be expanding. It is definitely tempting to try and set up in Codria. I think what I might actually wind up doing is doing a little bit of exploration sort of to the north here and seeing if there's the possibility of... Oh, hang on. I could just colonize this world and that'll add Hizzle. Well, it's not guaranteed that I'm actually going to be able to... It's not actually guaranteed that I'm going to be able to attach this. But I think the rough idea here would be for me to colonize probably Hizzle and Jap in fairly quick succession. I'm not wild about these resources, but they're not bad. Probably I'd build the base here. Well, I guess there's no major difference between building it here and building it here. It looks like the increasing border friction is going to cause... It's going to cause a little bit more hurt. Yeah, so I might actually... I think I might actually need to be doing some... I might have to do some active work to try and bring these guys into the fold. Like give them a gift or something like that. Oh god! I didn't know pirates had bases. Well then. Alright. One last thing for us to do tonight, guys. And I know the music's going to be very appropriate for this. So,
System survey complete.
I'm going to go on the back seat. And we'll just... We'll let the game speak for itself.
Fleet engaged. Situation log updated.
That's the kind of stuff that I like Stellaris for. So, with that in mind, guys, that is it for me tonight. I think I need to turn it down a little bit. As majestic as that music is, I definitely need to get some sleep tonight. So thank you, everybody. This is a lot of fun. I'm really looking forward to continuing on with this game for the next few weeks. You've been a really... I was actually going to say, also very generous with your followers tonight, guys. So, again, in terms of rough ideas about what I'll be doing streaming-wise, Mondays are going to basically be my grand strategy days. Now, I usually start a little bit earlier, but oh yes, I promised I was going to show you the species creator. So let's just exit to the menu. We've already got the game saved because we're on Iron Man mode. But yeah, so Mondays are more or less set for my grand strategy, and again, Paradox was kind enough to hook me up with a Leviathan's DLC key. Zigzag, thank you very much for that follow. I'm sorry, I know you just came in a little bit ago, but I gotta pay the bills, which means I gotta show up to work on time. But yeah, Mondays will more or less for the foreseeable future be grand strategy. A grand strategy day. Doesn't mean that I'm always going to play Stellaris. We did come off of Hearts of Iron 4, and again, Paradox did give me a key for that. So they've actually been pretty clear. It's like, you know, it's your stream, do what you want with it. But I do sort of want to honor the keys that I've been given. In terms of the oncoming week, there's a couple things that I do have in mind. I was given a key for political animals as well, so I'd like to at least do a trial of that. And if we can, also return to Aurora RL. We are continuing on with Shadowrun Hong Kong, so that's going to be my priority for the next few days. Not quite sure if it'll be Wednesday or Friday that I do that. And then also, I was told that somebody hasn't seen me play an FPS, and so I might return to Wolfenstein: The New Order, but that might be this week or next week. So there'll always be one day for a grand strategy game like this. But we're definitely going to be mostly focused on this and Shadowrun Hong Kong for the next little while, as well as any kinds of promotional keys that I've been given. Now, for those of you who are interested and who are asking, so these are the sort of default ones that you get at the start of the game. You've got two different forms of human, the United Nations of Earth and the Commonwealth of Man. One is an indirect democracy, whereas the other is a military dictatorship. And then you've got sort of these made-up ones. The Ixtildar Star Collective is actually the one that I started off with as when I first played this game. But if you are so inclined, you can actually just hit Create New. You can also do Random, but it's kind of fun. So under Appearance, you've got a lot of options in terms of looks. Now, if memory serves, I believe this is for owning the one of the higher up editions. But you can play Living Fungus. There is a DLC, a cosmetic DLC, which is adds plant people. I don't have that one though. I only have Leviathans because that actually adds like content for the game. I'm actually very fond of the avian styles, especially the ones with a nice plumage. Although I do kind of like ones like this. I like ones that are not conventionally, you know, cool looking or beautiful creatures. So, you know, things that look like this. What are the other ones? I like these little guys. There are also some that terrify me. You know, a little mouth there, creepy stuff. Or some of the reptilian ones also. Where are they? Maybe it's fungoid. You know, these guys are up to no good. But for the sake of the argument, I think everybody would be very upset with me if I didn't go for a creature that looked like this. So I'm just going to kind of randomize everything. So these are mostly the cosmetic things here. Traits are actually related to the game, so they are cute as a button, which means that they have to be charismatic. And but they're slavers. They're communal. And they're natural sociologists for Jesse Quill. Oh, you know what? I probably forgot to customize the name. Yeah, we'll go for green. And they came from, say, an arid world. So again, all of this, the homeworld does actually have a little bit of a, it does have a little bit of an effect in terms of what kinds of planets you can colonize, but I think that's fairly well balanced. The traits are definitely something that, you, that's going to affect how you play the game quite a bit. Government and ethics, another thing here. So we said that they were slavers. So, say they're at least collectivist. I really like materialist, but okay, so they can be a science directorate, a despotic hegemony, despotic empire. And again, we gotta look harmless on our flag. There we go. So if you want to, like, so in terms of levels of customization, in terms of things that will actually affect the way that the game works, 3 options in terms of FTL methods, 3 options in terms of weapons. Government and ethics, what do we have? 15 different governments depending on two ethical traits out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you've got 8 different paths, and then sort of the fanatical versions of those. And then you've got, I mean, there's a limit to the number of traits that you can have, but I hope it's apparent through this that there's a lot that you have as far as customization goes. And again, the thing that really sells me on this game is you know, making this your own. I mean, this I kind of went a little slapdash on, but the whole point was to go for something that's like super cute and actually is a fairly horrifying slave-owning despotic regime. Anyways. This can actually be spawned inside of a game. I might get rid of this later because I don't know if this is a particularly fun group to play. But if you happen to like building these little fantasy worlds, I mean, you can actually make biographies for the leaders and things like that as well. But it's oh, actually, yeah. So here's a perfect example here. So I neglected to write a biography for this, but here's an example of the United Nations of Earth. The myriad human nations that constitute their interstellar government are a disparate yet united in purpose. These bipedal mammalians have developed a society that encourages and even thrives on individual freedoms and cultural differences. As a result, humans tend to integrate well with alien populations. Despite this, they have strong martial traditions, produced by millennia of intermittent warfare on their homeworld, and sometimes aggressive and aggressive and unpredictable nature should not be underestimated. So Paradox says that we're quick learners and nomadic, and we're xenophiles and fanatic individualists. Of course, there is a split with humanity, who became xenophobic and fanatic militarists. They took on a military dictatorship. They're still quick learners and nomadic. So this is the important thing here, right? They've got a particular kind of race, and what you could do. So for instance, I could say that the Sec Lokar, that there was some, let's say, a heretical offshoot of the Sec Lokar, and that they became, that they started focusing on the immaterial, that they abandoned materialism, perhaps even individualism, that they instead became spiritual collectivists. This is the sort of world that you can create in a game like this. And the neat thing is that, if every time, like one thing you might want to do when you play a game like this is you might say, well, I'm going to make a new, if not a new species, at least a new society from a species each time I play this game. I think that's a really rewarding way, because you start building this library of these different alien nations, and maybe, I'm going to start writing biographies for these things or that. So, in terms of the Commonwealth of Mans, the UN-sponsored Ulysses Initiative oversaw the construction of 6 great arc ships in low Earth orbit at the end of the 21st century. The ships were fitted with powerful but unstable wormhole generators and sent towards distant stars carrying 250,000 colonists each. None were heard from again, and research into subspace wormholes was soon abandoned. Yet unbeknownst to Earth, one of the arc ships made it to a lush alien moon and established a flourishing colony. These pioneers who tamed the world were determined to realize humanity's manifest destiny, dominion over the galaxy at any cost. So. Anyways, food for thought, guys. I'm pretty much testing your patience as far as this stuff goes, but I hope that was educational, and especially if some of you have... I've heard of the board game Pandemic. I have not played it though, so... let's see who I will host. You know what? Let's host this good Shand man. He's doing the Midnight Society tonight, and he's currently dressed as a cat. So, guys, I know it's not going to be grand strategy, but I do recommend that you guys stick around. Shand is a friend of mine. I quite like his stream. He's definitely a born entertainer, and he actually does this full time. This is how he makes a living. So I definitely recommend hanging out. Ideally, you'll come along with a raid. It's always a nice little way of supporting a stream to let people know that you've kind of come through. I think the best thing that a streamer can ever ask for is the opportunity to entertain you, and I do think that Shand really is a very entertaining guy. So even if you're here for grand strategy, it's always a chance to go and check these things out again. But hang out, take a look at Shand and see if the Midnight Society is something that you might be interested in. And if not, I wish you the best in looking for stuff for tonight, but I am definitely done. It's already midnight. I wanted to try and do a little bit more than just play games tonight. So thank you, everybody. We'll be doing Stellaris again next Monday if you're here for that. And as for me, I will definitely be back Wednesday, but I'll maybe try and do a cheeky little sidecast on Tuesday. And thank you so much, ZippyZoo. That means a lot. It is sometimes difficult to get past. I was stagnant a little bit on follows for a little bit, so it definitely, comments like that are very easy to give, but they mean a lot to me. So thank you so much for saying that. But I'm not gonna hold off Shan's time in the limelight, guys. So thank you very much. Have a good one, folks. I'll see you on the other side.